Kind of early for a Saturday morning, but I'm going to get going on this code. I figured I'd just go ahead and stream it anyway. I do have to fix this mic though. Sorry about this, but this thing's a little bit too annoying. It's going to be a little bit higher. I'm going to continue to work on some stuff that I've been already done in Bash, and so we're just moving it over. And we went through this last time. There's another video out there. I have a playlist on this. You can go look at it, including going through how to make a Go module from scratch. In this case, a package module library, as opposed to a command. If I remember right, we were. Let me see. This is. Yeah. We can go to the bottom of this and I can use this one. So we had config-dir was the one that we were working on. Config-dir. Where are you? I know it's here. I know you're here somewhere. Here you are. All right, so we're going to type this up and put it in. So we've got the XTG configuration. We have this whole thing done, so we don't need any more. The config path is the specific path to a specific file. I think we went ahead and did that, if I remember right. Yep. Let go. So the exe is the path to the executable. File returns. Yeah, we got that stuff in there. All right. So, no, never. I think it's stupid. People use makefiles all the time. They don't need them. The only reason you need a makefile is if you are legitimately using makefiles for what they're for. Otherwise, it's a ton of unnecessary subshells. Yeah, I just strongly disagree with using them. So how's it going, Jay? So I use the shell scripts for build. I use a build script usually. It's much easier, but even then I don't really need it just to go build. If it's a big project, if it's it's a larger project and there's interdependencies, then yes, I would use a makefile. But that's the only time I would use a makefile. It's a lot of unnecessary complication for no reason. Shell script usually is just fine, but dir's been ported completely, so now we have to do path, I think, and path gives you the values file, exec file. So this is conf.exec file, gives the absolute path to a specific file within the exe directory. Now the exe file, exe is only when you are trying to go to the directory in the configuration directory that's named after the current executable. That's the only time. So we've got that, and then we have the home. It was pointless. It depends on you, man. It's like look, I'm a little sensitive on this because I've seen too many people make files that are completely useless. I'm like, why did you even make this a makefile? You just slowed the whole build process down. You overcomplicated it. You forced everybody to learn yet another language and you didn't need to, because you thought makefiles were cool. People, there's like curmudgeon old crusty Unix admins and BOFHs who will force people to make makefiles when they don't need it, and a shell script would be just fine, just because they learned how to code in C. It's interesting you say that. I'm glad you said that, because I've been writing a lot of notes about how I'm going to teach C first. We're going to do Bash and then a little C and then some Go after that, so people can understand. And I've been really conflicted about whether to teach them make at all, because if you teach C with make, they'll just get hung up on make. So what I would rather do is take the Bash scripting knowledge they have, since they don't need it. They're just going to be writing one or two executables. It's not that big a deal. And then we're going to say, okay, now make a Bash script to call GCC or CLang or whatever, and compile your code, and now practice using your C. So it's the combination of shell scripts and C coding, which is a given. You can't code C for Unix, for Linux, and not know shell and not know make if you're a big enough project, right? And at a certain level, without knowing, auto build and auto config and all that stuff, those old tools that have been around forever. But I'm not going to teach make. I'm going to make it an optional thing later. It's like they can go back into it and say, hey, if you want to learn this, fine. But all it is, conditional shell scripting. It really is. It's just a way to branch the shell script. So I love make, but I use it a lot. But I use it back when you need it, when you had to make tons of these in the days of statically linked document files too. You really don't need it. I go and see files. Yeah, the main feature of make is but if the files are modified, you just build the whole thing. Who cares? It depends on the size of your project. I'm telling you, if you've got a huge project, look, make made a lot of sense when there was a lot of DLLs, shared libraries, and we were doing dynamic linking. That made a ton of sense. But now that we're making everything statically linked and we're pretty much everything, and it just makes less sense. Make makes a lot of less sense. I'm doing Go coding right now, so. Question, do you think I should send some data to a program that takes input from TTY? Piping text to the program doesn't work. So I'm thinking of using the expect tool. I love expect. I use expect all the time. I haven't seen SOCAT yet. I know I love expect. I use it every time I need to. Some data to a program that takes input from TTY. I mean, that expect has been the universal tool used by hackers since the dawn of time to do exactly what you're talking about. Expect can script anything that goes to a TTY, anything. So you have to learn a little bit of TCL because that's what it is. I actually really love expect. I haven't done it for a long time, but it's a really great tool. I used to automate SSH logins and stuff like that. Actually, I used to automate Telnet logins using it because you couldn't, back when you could use Telnet. If you're using Telnet today, you're an idiot. Sometimes you have to, though. All right, so yeah, expect, especially if you're a hacker. If you're a hacker, expect is one of the most powerful tools you can put in your. There's a Python library called Fabric, which I think got revitalized for version 3. I used to use that at work all the time. Python Fabric encapsulates expect. So it allows you to script any terminal interaction with anything in Python, and it removes the pain of having to write TCL. Expect you have to learn another language. You have to learn TCL. That's when it was written for. So, yeah, if you know Python, that's one place I would probably use Python instead of expect, because the fact of the matter is, it's not like one of these things where I'm going to use the tools available to me. Expect is never installed anywhere. So if you have to install something, you might as well install Python Fabric, use a language you're familiar with, and then do exactly the same things. Yeah, Python Fabric, at least, and I think Capistrano was the new name, did the same thing. What are good programming docs that are not Geek for Geeks or tutorials? W3 Schools, Dev Docs. I don't know. I don't use any of those things. I never have. I read the documentation for the thing I'm using. I don't read somebody else's interpretation of that. It's always been my thing. I read the FN manual, TFM. I read the Bash man page to learn the stuff I know about Bash. I read, KNRC at the time, and yeah. If you're fluent in Python, look for the new one. I for a while their Fabric wasn't maintained, and they were wondering if they were gonna move it to Python 3 or give it replace it with a different library. It's good. I mean, it is real. Oh God, look, they made a 3.4. Thank you. Shit, I actually want to pull. This is okay. Every time I bag on Python, in the back of my head, I always have to say, except Python Fabric. Dude, you want to write your own automation stuff? God damn, this thing is so. I was able to use Fabric and run tests of code, C code. You can copy files down and everything. It's so cool. It's almost like orchestration without the, Kubernetes. To a dozen things. I would run my test code on 13, 14 systems at the same time using Fabric. It's so cool. You just give it a list of hosts, and then it just runs it on the hosts. So if you like automation and stuff, it sounds a lot like Ansible. I haven't used Ansible at all, but I imagine that's what it's kind of like. Yeah. I've heard Ansible is pretty close to that, but and you might try Ansible for that, honestly. I mean, it might do the same thing. Yeah, see, look, you want to see all your free disk on every machine, disk free like this. You write the things, and then you write the fab file, and then the fab file runs it on everything. It's so cool. I love it so much. I'm sure there's better, more modern solutions, but this was my first exposure with that level of automation, and I loved it. I love it. So yeah. Mm-hmm. Logging to websites, girl. Uh, I don't. I just use OAuth tokens for everything, for the most part. Ancient strengths. Are you talking about I wrote my own package module for handling OAuth authentication. It actually fires up a temporary HTTP server so it can handle the redirects and grabs the token, the temporary token, and then elevates the privileges to an actual token. Ansible's written in Python. Yeah, I bet that they do. Capistrano came out after Fabric was supposed to be the replacement for Fabric, and then Ansible and all that stuff came out later. So I have a feeling that the people interested in Fabric kind of got, and then all of a sudden Fabric came back like 3.4. They said, no, this is fine. So I don't know. For some of our other platform deploys, yeah, it's I get the sense that it's not Ansible, but I don't know. I don't know Ansible. I need to learn it. I get the sense that it's not Ansible. It's just it's the thing I like about Fabric is it's just a framework for doing things to lots of servers, like running whatever on lots of servers. It doesn't go beyond that. It just that's its only purpose in life. It literally runs on top of SSH and expect. At one point, it was actually using expect. So you can script TTY interactions on those targets with logic. It's just so cool. That's where it got popular. Fabric pretty much took over for expect, and except for those hardcore people who still want to write, TCL. Actually, that was the one I bought my TCL TK book. That was the first time I learned any TCL, because expect is written in TCL. Yeah, yeah. Mm. No, I can't look away. I'm supposed to be doing Go coding. Actually, do need to take a 5-minute break. I'll be right back. Yeah, I'm sorry I can't help you with your C# stuff, but I don't know C#, first of all. And there might be some people here that actually do. I've coded a little C#, not a lot. I looked at it when they made OpenSim use C# in Second Life, but that was the last time. Our Black Mouse, how's it going? Mm-hmm. All right, so I'll go back to Go programming. Shabbat, yeah. Trying to figure out what we're going to port today first. I think we have most of the stuff done. I think we did our test files already. Did I leave any issues? No. Okay. Usually I'll do that for my to-dos. Example home, example exe, and the exe file. So conf.exe means it's the configuration for the executable with the same name. So that stuff's all good. A lot of stuff we had to do to get all that. We had to kind of trim it all down, and we ended up with the ultimate in simple there. Just a recap of what we're doing. This is to handle configurations in a consistent way, so that everything uses the same thing that is now the standard on actually not just Linux but all over. I'm putting stuff in .config. And the exe conf.exe returns the path to the current executable containing the library, so that you see how we have ecom discord and chant, all that stuff. Excuse me, Pomo. So Pomo's one, right? So we have the configuration in there. In fact, Pomo uses the new standard. So /Pomo, and you'll see there's a values file in here, which is the default, and the values file. So somebody who does an import conf-go gets all this by default. They get all this stuff to be able to use, and then they can just set the key equals value pairs. So we're probably going to need to do the parsing now of that stuff. I don't use code completion, and I detest NeoVim, so you're in the wrong place. Maybe somebody else. I detest both code completion and NeoVim, so there may be somebody in here who's brave enough to answer your question and to message you, but not me. I have no interest in either of those things. So particularly code completion, I fucking hate it. So what's next? We need to, well, let's go back to the port. So we've got, here's our main functions that we're porting. Compter and CompTaf have been ported. Edit is going to run VI on the file, having called one of these other things. Config edit, config del. I should probably have the delete. It's funny, I don't have an add. Oh, a get set. Yeah, we need get set. Get set is going to be the tricky ones, but maybe we should dump first. Dump's not hard. Yeah, dump's not hard. Okay, so I'll try that. This is a relatively simple project. That's why I wanted to do this, to show how to copy it over. Read, write, config, read. Yeah, we can't do a dump until we do a config read. I think dump actually just writes it. Yeah, it does. It just writes the whole thing. No. Dumps whatever's in the current configuration. Ah, okay. So that's interesting. We have a decision to make. Do we use the package namespace, or do we return a new configuration? And I already know the answer to that because we're doing it in Go. So we don't ever want to use the package namespace on something unless we're going to do it. Now we can do a default namespace. Um, so yeah. I'm trying to decide how much of this to put into the new structure as methods. I think these can be either functions or methods. You know what I mean? Like you could have. I mean, if we, I don't know. I mean, you could. There's a way that we could separate out. Yeah, go that option. If you're going to use a virtual, yeah. So I have a decision to make. I can make these functions, parameters, and stuff like work with the package, or I can make them. I can hang them off as methods of a single, object, and it's a struct. It's a struct with methods. I tend to like functions better because they compose better than that kind of thing. If you take a functional approach to this, then we'll be passing in structs to this thing every time. So I'm going to use something of a convention that I always follow for myself, where if I'm going to make a struct, there's no methods on the struct except for and it's not officially called this, but what I call pseudo properties. In other words, derived properties from the other properties, like combinations of them at that moment because the struct has changed. I tend to not hang methods off of structs that could be done as functions because I like to function chain stuff, and it makes your code more functional, easier to test, blah blah blah. So some of them just make sense on those. So this is gonna be the first time I'm gonna do a struct, but we obviously need a conf struct to hold the conf. Now, but let's pretend like what the use is gonna be here. If I do, it's gonna be conf dot what, right? So conf.new. If I do a conf.new, what should it do? If I do conf.load, if I do conf.infer, if I do a plain up conf.new, it should just hand off a new conf object without loading anything, right? So let's do that. So func conf new. This is not a constructor, strictly speaking, but it is a convention used in Go for using constructors. And we have to make a struct first. So this is a weird thing in Go. So it's not idiomatic to make a constructor. It's more idiomatic to make an init function. That may have changed since I started coding in Go in 2014. But that's kind of stuck in my brain. So that means, so when you're trying to decide whether it should be a struct or it should have this constructor or an initializer, which by the way in Python you have init, right? It's not technically a constructor. The constructor is a secret thing. It's an underscore thing. If you don't know Python, you don't know what that means. But so yeah. So we're gonna do this. We're gonna just make a struct, make a type called, and this is similar to C, called conf. And actually, we're gonna make this is where you get into like repeating yourself, right? It also is the question of like, well, should I just make a plain struct or should I make it into an interface? And I believe, they say you should make interfaces for return structs and make interfaces. So I'm going to go ahead and just make it a plain old, well, I guess I'm going to have to make it public because we're going to be returning them. You don't have to make it public. Let me see if I can try it without making it public. I probably can't, but I'm going to try. So this would be a conf.conf object, but I might actually even be able to do a conf.map, which is all it is. I'm going to call it a map, a conf.map. Yeah. And this is hard for me because you can easily go down all kinds of places with this. And we're going to have a map string, and that's all we're going to use. And people are going to yell at me for that, but I don't care. So we have a map string at the end. In fact, that's all I have to do. I don't even have to make it into anything else. Map's a hash tag. It has a million names, right? So it's associative array, hash map, a dictionary in Python. Hey, thanks for the follow. So type map string. And it's like, it's probably yelling at me because it's saying you can't have a map. I'm like, I want to use a map. I'm fine. I'm probably going to put a big capital M. This is another kind of pseudo convention because reasons. It's just a map string. The end. And I'm going to kind of stick with that. The M table, probably. Yep. Which is another reason to probably do it like this. So conf.m is what you would be using in returning stuff. Because I made it M, it's being returned. So I almost don't even need that. The reason I would do that is because if I want to hang off different methods for the map. And this is so hard because Go is equally usable as a functional language and as an object-oriented language. So you have to decide, do I want to have m.filter or do I want to have filter and pass m to it? You know, so it's hard. It's hard to do it that way. I mean, you know, it's like you should go function, but just don't take time choosing. I have to take time choosing because this is gonna like permanently, this is gonna permanently influence the whole thing forever, and so I'm gonna stick with a simple type and try to keep most of my programming logic in the functions. If you read through like the Kubernetes source code we were reading through the other day, oh my God, it's a mess. It's not a mess because it's bad code. It's a mess because there's like a mixture of approaches and paradigms all over. And that's in any code base, any large code base. Each approach every other day. Yeah. And that's, yeah, I'll probably change my mind too. Well, first of all, I'm gonna follow my own rules here. Default to private. Default to a simple type. Okay, I just realized one way that we talked at length last time about locking the file, and I just realized that we totally forgot about that. So how am I gonna lock this thing? Right? Minimally, I have to lock it in the same memory space, which means I can't have a map. I have to have a map that I can lock. Now, there's two ways to do this. One of them is to make every single function aware of how to lock the thing. And the other one is to create methods on the thing and to embed a lock inside of the map. If we were doing this in C, we wouldn't have the option of embedding the lock. But since we are, I mean, there's actually a few things that are influencing the decision about locking, okay? Because remember we talked about file system locking last week? You probably don't remember. Last week we were talking about file system locks and how to get locks that apply across the board, not just everything in the same memory space running from the same library. So on the one hand, I could turn this into a struct. I'm not going to do this. I already made my decision. I just realized. But I can make this into a struct. This is very common. And I can embed a mutex. So sync dot read write mutex or just a mutex. Doesn't matter. And now I get lock and unlock for free. And then usually what they'll have is they'll have an M and then it'll be a map string. And if you do this, if you do it that way, guess what? You have to implement, lock and write. You have to have read write, and then you're usually defining an interface that says, read write, and you only access the struct through the functions. Because if you don't access the struct through the functions, m.m is not going to be bad because there won't ever be an m.m. Yeah. No, that won't ever be a thing. That'll never. No. But I get your point. Yeah. So we're not going this route anyway. I'm going to tell you why. So normally, a lot of times I would do this, but you can't do this unless you implement a full interface. So you're going to say, I'm going to have, uh, you have to have that implement the interface, and the interface should probably have read, write, and all that stuff. It's just because why? Because you don't have locking for free, right? You have to actually sync the lock and then do a thing. There's other ways to get concurrency, but that's the most traditional. There is a thing in the sync library called sync.map that is a concurrent map, but you should never use it because it has performance considerations. It actually has a huge warning in the documentation above it. And so if you go this route, okay, fine. That gets you relatively simple locking at the cost of implementing a read, write, dump interface or whatever, because you have to lock and unlock every time you do any access to the map, right? So I actually have another library called data store or something like this because it's such a generic pattern. It's happening it gets used all the time. And so I just bring one in. It's like a basic data structure for that that I built for Go. But we have another consideration. I'm glad I remembered from last week. So the difference here is I don't want to lock this map just for what's running in this memory namespace. I want to lock that file across everything on my operating system that is also respecting the constraints for locking this configuration. Because I want to have more than one utility be able to access the configuration information using the Unix operating system. Now, 9 times out of 10, people would be like, whatever, we're just all going to go look at the same file. We don't care because Unix, protects us. Unix Linux protects us from concurrent reads are fine. Concurrent writes are sort of protected, but they're not really. So the reason that I am not going to use this method, and I'm going to have a basic simple map, locked file, standard library. Is that a C standard library thing? So we're going to lock the file, but we're going to lock the file. Yeah, it's not. We're going to do it. So this means that my more complicated version here, I'm going to lose people, so I have to explain this. My more complicated version here is going to create a system level lock for that specific configuration file for everything on my system that respects it. And it's the best you can possibly do. File lock, yeah. And we're going to look for methods for doing that and stuff, right? And I haven't gone to the standard library yet to go look for them. I'm sure there's some in there. But my point is that because we're doing the file locking, we might be able, I don't know if it's going to be, what's going to be less work. If it's going to be less work to keep a simple type and pass that into a function and then do file lock in the function anytime we need to actually change it. If we're just reading it, we don't have to lock it at all. Or do we burden ourselves with all this extra cruft on top of the function, on top of the type, and then turn up, have to force it to have these methods and stuff. So there's kind of a branch going on here. And then when we left off, I've been reminded, we need to go find to see if there's a Golang method that locks files across, system level locks of files across all operating systems, because Go is cross-platform, right? I imagine there is one, and this is one of the great things about Go is you think you have something you need, and it's almost always there. But if it's not there, then I'll be writing it. I'll be writing several functions that do the file level locking and that take a string, right? So it'd be a generic. Actually, the truth is that when I get done with that, the code for that could be reused anywhere. So it could take any type, write that string. It could literally take any interface, which is, you don't need a generic for this. It could just take anything and write it to file in a safe way. And that's a reusable bit of code. The stuff I have now, if I were to extend it and all that stuff, would not necessarily be reusable. So let's do that. So I need to go looking through the Golang library for anything related to file locks. And I'm sure there'll be something we don't know, but package go internal locked file internal file lock. This is an internal. This is not a standard library thing. This is yeah. They have flock here. It looks like. This looks more safe, this other one. Yeah, we can't use syscall flock. We can't use that because it's not cross-platform. So I'm not going to use that unless I have to. Yep. If I have to use that, I will. But I don't want to. Because it's not cross-platform. Anything in syscall is Go only. As far as I know. Doesn't it say that? I don't want to use another package if I can help it too. I want to use standard library. So even if it's internal, I'm interested in this one. Yeah. That's not in the docs though. That's the actual repo. Stack Overflow might have an answer. I'm going to check real quick. File open, file share none. Locked file is in GoLang. Yeah, but it's in the internals. It's not a standard library thing. It's in the internal library. No, that's just for the Go internals. How can I, because it knows nothing else is going to be touched on. How can I get an exclusive read access for file on Go? Want to deny other process access to .NET. If .NET, they don't need to do anything. Yeah, no. I'm not using a third party. I refuse. I might end up writing exactly what's in the third party software. Yeah, Flex provides a cross-process mutex based on file locks that works on Windows and Linux platforms. FSLock uses lockfilex on Windows and flock on Unix. So this is what I thought we were going to have to do. It turns out somebody's already done it. Obviously, we might have to just steal that code and put it in. I'm not going to build a dependency. I refuse. So, and then we'll just put attribution. We'll be fine. That's the go away thing to do. And then you'll just do syscall flock like that to do on Unix, right? Use my first create a new lock for the file. A new file name. This API will create the lock file if it doesn't already exist. Then we can use the lock file, the lock handle to lock the file. There is also a timeout version. Yeah, no. File should done recently acquired lock, unlock. NTFS. No, absolutely won't. That I'm pretty sure of. A syscall is OS independent? I doubt it. Unless they figured it out. Maybe they did. Maybe they did. Who knows? Yep, trying to lock. Yeah, this is just traditional file locking. Oh, that's too bad because a lot of people got that as the answer and they're going to use that. That's not safe for threads, I'm telling you. That other package is not safe for threads. So most people don't understand that, and it's fine. And there's lots of bad code out there. I've been burned by that. That's why I know. Back in the 90s. Fish try like X. Nope. GoLang lock file. What's this about? There's probably code already. I just want to get different ideas. I generally know the package. I absolutely know how to do it on Unix and Linux. I want to do those so that it works on Windows. That's the whole point of porting to Go in the first place, is to be able to get it to run both operating systems. So if I don't have locking, I thought locking was built into Windows by default, and we wouldn't have to add it at all. Because that's what I understand about the file system on Windows, but I don't know Windows that well. Last time I heard, that's what I was told. This is the same one we just looked at. Why would you list this here? No. Okay. There is locking in Windows? Is there? I thought there was just like, you couldn't do concurrent reads and writes on files in Windows by default. Yeah. Yeah, this is interesting because you think they would have fixed this by now. Okay, to share file you want to lock in Windows Explorer. Select lock. Interesting. Weird. That's really weird. A lot of people, there's some people who are against locking because locking can always break. So if somebody cancels a program in the middle without the locking, and they kill -9 it, that lock is left over, and then you have to go delete the lock, and it hangs up your whole system. There's a lot of people that are like, that danger is more of a risk than not doing any locking and just using trusting that people are not going to concurrently access the thing. So unless you have like a really seriously high concurrency demand, that you shouldn't even fuck around with locking and just leave it out, because somebody's going to cancel your program, and they're more likely to get a problem from that than they are to get a problem from concurrent access requests, like corruption. And I don't know. I go back and forth on this thing. This is a thing. I don't want file locks. The exact reasons of things failing and leaving lock file, and you do shit with it. Yep. So this is really interesting, because I'm making a library. The library could be used, so what we can do is we can make the library so that it doesn't have locking in it. And then if somebody wants the locking, they can layer on top of it. And then we tell them right at the top of the package documentation, there is no concurrent file locking going on whatsoever. So we say safe for concurrent thread access, but not safe for concurrent access from a system level. And then people can work through whatever they want to add that in. You know what I mean? It's working through syscall on Windows. What is? Lock internals, file lock on Windows. Yeah. I think we need to look at syscall flock, but I don't even know if I want to do it now. Because why? I'm adding stuff for an anticipated rare situation where there's going to be extremely high concurrent writes to a configuration file that are going to cause it, and which doesn't make any sense, because this is a configuration file. It's going to have extremely high concurrent reads, which are guaranteed to be safe under Unix and Linux, but extremely high concurrent writes is not going to be a thing. So putting in file locking is overkill. I'm going to leave it out. I gave a lot of talk to it last time, and I think I'm going to leave it. It's not in my bash script, of course. And I think if somebody for some reason is going to create an application that has really, really intense concurrent writes to the configuration file, which, I don't know, maybe nanosecond, which is a configuration file, they should be doing that anyway. It should be doing like one write every minute or 10, right? So if they're doing that, they're making mistakes, and I'm not gonna write extra shit code that's just gonna support that it's gonna be broken anyway. So okay, so I'll just repeat that. Yeah, I'm not doing that. So no locking. So if that's true, we're now back to the more traditional form of locking, which is just to protect against two threads in the same process, which is totally fine. That includes read locking. So this is something a lot of people don't know about Go that I spent a lot of time researching in 2014. Maps are not safe for concurrent reads. I said reads, not writes. I didn't stutter. That's not a mistake. And the reason for that is because of the way hash maps, and this is why you should learn to code C, because there is no hash map in C. You got to write it. But hash maps are implemented differently, and hash maps often use a caching mechanism internally to do the read. So if you've requested a key before and that's a key again, it'll give it to you right away for a large map. There are lots of ways to optimize map reads, which are basically miniature databases inside of your code. You don't get them for free. So when you get dict in Python, or you get map and go or whatever, those are miniature database algorithms that are generated. And those algorithms often include locally internal private caching for consistent reads. And those reads are not safe for concurrency because they're writing to the cache. So you're reading from a map. You're just looking up a value from a map. You think, hey, it's just a read operation. No, there's writing happening when you do a read operation, including in Go. In other words, it's not guaranteed that there's going to be any write. So when you go read about the documentation, they're like, no, they felt for all the same reasons that we just decided in our project here, that it was unnecessary to build locking into map. And so that maps by default are not safe for concurrency. They said that because they're like, we want to let the end user, the end developer, decide whether they need locking or not. And then they haven't provided a standard version to do the locking. They just gave you some mutex and stuff and said, go to town, go figure it out. And that was the Go direction. It's very C-like direction. It's like, no, we're going to give you the minimum possible things and you can go do your thing. And because they didn't want to slow down every single hash map read just for locking by forcing everybody to use locking because not everybody's going to need it. So, and they catch shit for that all the time. They can't, I mean, the Go language itself gets shit for that because they're like, what are you talking about? It's not safe for reads. My understanding is the issues with reading is cache invalidation. I don't know. I'm just, the only takeaway you need to have from that, unless you want to really go deep dive, and I did, believe me, is that Go maps, any Go map is not safe for concurrency. And there's the equivalent of shell check for Go here. You can do things like this. You can do Go test dash, was it race. Delay in sound quality. If there's a delay, let me know. I reset the stream, so I didn't think it would be. Go race requires CGO, enable CGO by setting CGO enabled 1. I turned it off by default because I don't want that. Then I'm going to test it. So see how I passed that, right? So you want to do a dash. You don't want to do a dash race on your test all the time because it takes a long time to do it. But you definitely want to do that. And then you don't have to worry about race conditions. And that includes accessing maps, right? So I'm left with a question here. I need to, somebody knocking or something. We're going to need to make a concurrent, we're going to need to max safe for concurrency. And I have a way of doing it. In fact, I've got like several ways of doing it. And I'm almost positive I've got a library that already does this, but I don't remember the name of it. I should probably, is it data-go? I think it is. I think this is it. Yeah. Simple JSON data file store API. Yeah, this is a different one that I was using. Config-go. Use the lowercase letters, yeah. This actually has the code in it that I've already done. So map-go. Slightly delayed. Video is delayed. Video. Check. Yeah, I don't know. So here we go. Here's your map. Data.map. And you have a string. String fills the stringer interface. And then you have print JSON, print it as JSON if you want, marshal indent, blah, 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 blah. So this one doesn't have any locks in it. That's interesting. No, that's not good. I don't want that. I have another one that does. I just don't know where it is. It could be anywhere. I could probably grep it all. Yeah. I mean, it'll have mutex in it. Oops. Oopsie daisy. Oh my god, really? What do you mean argument list too long? I guess there's too many files to look in. We have to resort to find. File exec grep dash s dash I mutex must separate. Let's see, you must separate multiple arguments to type. Oh right, it's F. There we go. This is a pretty long search. It's searching every single GitHub repo I've copied. I probably should have wrote to a file. T temp foo more. All right. Grep-R. Yeah, I could have used R. You're right. Thanks. Yeah, I'm just so used to the other one. So there we go. We have a mutex here. Which one is this one? Sync mutex. Mutex structure. I need the column channel now that I have put it around the blocking condition to the mutex conflicts near the end. Our mutex is a data sync. This is probably my pagan thing. Mutex lock implementation. That's, yep. I need to say which file I came from. Yep. Cost me the job. They didn't know there was an argument list max length in star nix. Why? Really? Yeah, grep-r does a better job of that. It absolutely does. Yep. Yeah, there's like a maximum limit on the thing. Yeah, I think a grep-r might actually be better here. The find works too, though, because it does do the recursion and it doesn't max out the thing. I usually use grep-r. I don't know why I didn't use it this time. And I should probably give it context. I forgot S. God damn, don't forget S. It's like so annoying. I wonder if I broke it. Did I put the S in the wrong place? I usually put 2 dashes like that. Let's try. I don't like grep. I don't intend to ever use it. I just don't. I no desire to alter my system in that way. Maybe I would if I cared more. Man, this really looked at everything, including all of my log. God, I've gotten so much content I gotta move over. Shit. Okay, so go textbot. Yes. Textbot state. I gotta look at textbot. Okay, I forgot about that one. That's all the Go stuff. I'm just looking for all the stuff I've done this with. Workspace. No, mutex just don't need that. And all my workspace stuff, I guess I don't need any of that. What are we looking for? We're looking for mutex. Acquire workspace. These are all the same. Those are not the ones I want. Those are all M stuff. I should probably have isolated to just my stuff. That would have made sense. I think I did, though. I mean, it's always the same thing. That's why I almost want to make a library that just uses it. I have no problem like creating dependencies on my own libraries. I have a big problem creating deps on other people's libraries. Those are all in workspace. I gotta like filter them out. Where am I? Yeah. Vim syntax files? Absolutely. Yep. I have. I expanded my my Vim Pandoc to do the syntax I wanted to do smart quotes and stuff. TextBot. TextBot's the one it looks like. TextBot state. Auth-go. You know, I use this all the time. That's the thing. I kind of want to make a standard interface that I just use for all this stuff. Learning with tests. Why is that under there? That shouldn't even be there. Okay. Well. Yeah. T sends it to standard output. Yeah. T sends it to standard output and to the file. We're going to probably stay functional. Yeah. So I looks like I'm going to make a map here. Conf.map. So I'm going to be making a thing, so I'm going to go ahead and make it today. So we'll just make map.go. And the problem with this is I do it so many times. Every time I do it, I feel like I should do. This is a Dota stream. Shut up, Greg. All right, so I can say that. So type map. So conf.map, right? And the conf.map is going to be. Here's something interesting. Here's something really interesting. We can actually make this faster than a hash map. Yeah. I'm not even going to use a fucking map, Golang map, because arrays are concurrent. And I'll get around all those problems. Shit. Yeah, watch. All right, so because we have a super simple key value pairs combination, we're gonna call it a conf.map, but it ain't a map. And we're gonna say yeah, we can just call it map. We're gonna implement our own map. Yeah, they're not tuples, but they're arrays. So we're gonna say so the map keys would be k. Let's say, I guess we could say keys. Yeah, we're gonna do our own maps, vowels, and because it's a super simple lookup. It's a super duper simple lookup. Honestly, and then we can do our binary search or whatever we want to through the whole thing. It's not even that big, right? Should we do a binary search? First tier data structures and algorithms to comp-sci. Yeah, this is actually, you know what? I should probably look into this. Which is the most effective search? I'll just use, you know what? We'll just use, this is actually a really good example of something to write. This might actually be a good first project. So keys and vowels. So let's do keys, string, vowels, string. And we'll just do linear for now. Same as bash. Bash would be doing linear too. I don't want to implement like a B-tree algorithm or some shit. We could probably do that. Bindings for C levers? No, not yet. So it's just key values. That's it. And then we give it a mutex. So then we embed. We're gonna embed a sync dot mutex. Now we should probably do a read write mutex, because that way you lock for read different than you do write. Yeah, because the reads are reads are right order in the same size. What do you mean the right order in the same size? Okay, so first of all, you can't use this thing unless you use our operators, our method operators, which is what they are. They're operators. It can be bigger than vowels. No, it can't. Not if we lock it down the interface. There's no access to keys and values unless you use the operators that we're going to add on. Operator methods, whatever you want to call them. So, because we already have to have the operator methods, you can call it interfaces, yeah. The interface methods, whatever. So we already have to have that because we have to ensure locking, period. Right? So we already have to sign off on this interface shit, which I don't look, you can love interfaces all you want. I do too, but they can sometimes be annoying. So first thing I'm gonna have to define is a map interface. Now, the problem with this is because I've implemented one here. This is something about Go that I'm kind of coming to learn that is the way to do it. So we have to define interface. So type map is the interface, right? And then we say, okay, a map has to have a get and a get, key string, get set key val. I mean, it's super simple, right? This is actually probably a good learning activity. I should probably document this a little bit better. And then what? And then we have this map down here as private on purpose. Yep. So pass interfaces return structs. That's the Golang rule. And it's an idiomatic rule. It's not a, what am I missing? Map line 10. Oh, because map is protected. Yeah. It's gonna want, I can do this too. I can do that. That's fine too. Interfaces, yeah. We could say, I don't know. It doesn't matter. We have to, there's lots of things we can do here. I'm just trying to think if that's going to clutter up the return signatures. I think it might a little bit. So I don't know if I want to do that. Actually, let's use capital M. Yeah, and then they can deal with it. Actually, let's just use a simple M. All right, we're going to try that. We're going to try this. It's conf.m, capital M. If we have to export it for any reason, I'll make it a capital M. But all right, so, but you shouldn't be messing with it. That's what I'm trying to say. This is private on purpose. If I export the struct, then people will fuck around with the internals, and they can't. Actually, they can't because those are key values like that. Those are private. They can't access them directly, so they should be fine. All right, never mind. We're good. So get set. That's it. Dump. Now, see, this is what does dump do? Dump, writes both key value pairs. I don't know if I want to. Interfaces are supposed to be lightweight, so you probably should put too many things in here. But if I wanted to, I could have, filter, reduce, whatever, Sometimes I call it for, and it'll do that function on every single thing in the list. But those are all things that you can, it's going to be in get set. Yeah. The lock's going to be in get set. The problem with this is if by making your own map like this, you automatically eliminate the ability to range over the map using the normal methods, right? You're not going to be able to range over the map using the range operator from a range keyword from Go, because it's not an actual map. It's your own map, right? But I don't know. I don't know if it's worth it. It's kind of fun. So, I mean, the cool thing about this is I can implement this entire thing in C. In fact, I probably will, as an exercise. This is probably, I'm shaving the yak here a little bit, but I feel like this exercise is a good one to get to code in C that has practical value. So in your C code, it's reasonable that you're going to want to be able to read configuration files, even in C. So this is one way to do that, right? It's like, well, why do you care about data structures and algorithms and all that shit? Well, because you need to read config files so you can do stuff. And this would probably be a good one. So right now we know we need to have a get it set, and we have this here. So we're going to go ahead and implement it. And so the way we do that is we say, we do func, and this is called a receiver. It's one of the most brilliant things that they ever came up with. I cannot overstate how cool I think this is. And we're going to say M is an M. So maybe we can't name this lowercase map because map's already reserved. So I don't know. We could say my map, or we could say simple map or some shit. I mean, we could do this. Let's try that. I mean, I think exporting is not bad, because if somebody wants to make one, they could just initialize one and use it that way. I don't like using underscore because I think it's gonna pollute the documentation. Safe map, yeah. Anything that's gonna get exported, I'm just gonna leave it as M, which is a Go idiom. They'll like T and testing and stuff like that. Conf.map. Another possibility is this. So another possibility would be to make it as in a separate package, and you put the interface at the top level. Where do you get the errors from? That's just Vim. Vim-Go's doing it. Yep. So 16 is, yeah, because I just started a function to put anything in her. Yep. And it wants to have the name. Oh, I just put a receiver. So we could say get, and get, of course, has to return a string. I don't know why I didn't put that there. Set. And we're not going to get fancy here. Get key string, and then so that should make the error go away. See you, Jay. So yeah, so we've got a lot of good stuff here, and we have to decide what we want to do there. So this is also going to be a reference to the thing. So we're going to do a reference instead of that. So if you don't do that, it'll create a copy of it, and then pass that as the whatever this is. What is it called? I forgot again. It's called it's not the target, the receiver, right? If you do it, it's like if you do a pointer, it'll give you the copy of the previous one and it's pointing to. Otherwise, it'll make a copy of it and give it to you. It's not what you want. You'll be. I promise you, if you could, even longer than a week ago, you'll get burned by that at one point, because you'll be like, "Why isn't my stuff testing properly?" It's because it's making a copy. It's not doing the changes. So get. I'm overthinking this, but on purpose. So we gotta do the map lock. So get is a read lock. We only need a read lock on this. So we can do m dot r lock, and then the idiomatic way is to do a defer for m dot unlock, and then go down here and do stuff. That's the Go thing. Defer runs when the function exits. So I like it because it keeps all the logic in one place. If I could put them on the same line, I would, but you can't. My editor will clean that up. So, and then we just set it. We say, so if I'm setting a key, get key. No, so this is where we have to write our own hashing algorithm, right? Because I'm going to have to look through all of the keys to get the number. And this is where binary and bubble sort and all that stuff come in. This is why in your comp sci class, that's why they have you learn all that stuff. Because being able to look through an array of things and sort through them and get the fastest possible thing is relevant here. Now I'm just going to do a sequential sort, which is absolutely the slowest possible way to do it. But I don't need anything more quickly. Or I can do increase speed of algorithm. We're not going to do sort. There's no sort here. Yeah. I guess you're right, because if we did a sort, no, sync map, do not use sync map. Did you not read the big warning in front of sync map? No, it's not what you want. I unless they've changed it, there's a big warning. I'll show you. I'll read it to you. It's probably people are using it on Stack Overflow because they're not reading and they don't understand why it's bad. No, don't use sync map. No, stop using sync map. No, I know you're new, and I'm not mad at you. I'm mad because it's not known. Versus map log. Oh, here's a tutorial versus thing. Hopefully this person will have a clue. So, the new kid in town goes sync map. Almost every, if this is a decent blog, it'll say be careful, don't use it. Learning exploration analysis, a new sync map type is out. I was eager to get my hands on it. Everybody wants synchronized maps. They always have atomic maps. So go converting standard Golang map into a sync map. No, this is not going to be the right thing. I'm telling you. No. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I would love to be able to use it. Let's see. For many projects for Golang modules have either sync map or plain map protected with the mutex. Those are them that use sync map, not necessarily fit into use cases suggested by the docs. Did you hear that? Many of those that use sync map are not fitting the use cases suggested by the docs. They're not fucking reading the docs. They see sync map, they see that it's safe for concurrency, and then they do it. Right? So the map type is optimized for 2 common use cases. If you are not one of these use cases, you should not use it. You should use a mutex, which is why I always punt to mutex. When the entry for a given key is only ever written once, but read many times, as in caches that only grow, or 2 when you have a Golang wait group, which we don't. Those are not popular use cases. Almost every single time you are going to be changing a key value. You know, that's the whole point of a map, right? It's like a cheap database. So neither of those cases match, but people don't give a shit and they use it anyway. And because they want concurrency, they don't know how to add a mutex, they don't want to add the interfaces. People don't use, do not use sync map unless you fit this use case, and I guarantee you don't. When an entry for a given key is only written once, how often do you only write to your maps one time and never change their values? Never. I don't know how this shit made it in the standard library. I don't know how this made it in the standard library being called what it is. It's really sad, and because people get burned by this all the time, and so you don't want to use this for those reasons. And they very openly say don't use it. They say please do not use this, and everybody does anyway. So you know, when you're talking about concurrency in Go, you want to be careful because you know usually Go programs are meant to be highly concurrent. It's a great language for concurrency, but they're using the wrong tools. They're using the wrong things, and they don't know better. Now, if you're Rustland, who knows how many cargo packages there would be to get to concurrency? And you say, oh, you don't need concurrency because it's built in. Maybe, but that's, you know, so I think Black Mouse finally convinced me to use a real map, because I think he finally convinced me to use an actual real map because for sorting, because you absolutely cannot sort no, you can't. Not key values in that sense. You'd have to be able to look it up every time. So you'd have to have a built-in hash key. Yeah, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna overdo this. I'm already overdoing it. So we'll just make we'll make this. I'll do what I normally do, and I'll just put an M in here. And yeah, we'll do mu for the mutex, and we'll do like I usually use M for the map, and I use m.mem all the time. I don't mind that. Other people might, but I don't. So that would be mutex. You can actually, I think you can just embed it and get around that and just do this instead. Let's do that. That would be, yeah, M is this. So this can be m.m. I mean, you can do underscore M or something. But I see m.m all the time. Yeah. As my point was right. Well, I wasn't thinking I was going to use sorting, and then you got me thinking about sorting again, and I was like, okay, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of reasons to not throw out the highly optimized map that Pike has already built. So, but I kind of wanted to do my own because we're very close to not needing it, you know. Yeah. I don't do any. Well, in my Bash script, in the Bash script I don't do any sorting at all, so I don't need it. So I'm kind of just trying to set, but there's probably somebody out there who's going to want to do that. You know what I mean? So yeah. There's probably somebody who's going to want to sort, and I don't sort. Fast search and available without sorting. Yeah. Right. Right. So I mean, we would be, writing our own, and I still think we should. I still think we should write it in C, but I don't want to write it in Go because it's already done. So then we'll have a map string, and we'll be good. And then our internals. So get, we have to do the rlock, and we do this rlock and the unlock, and stuff into two arrays. No, it won't. I mean, you could definitely, you'd have to have the one array not being, well, no, guys, you're right, because you have to have the value. Yeah, I mean, we'd have to implement an actual hash map, like a true hash map, instead of just pussyfooting around it with two columns, like you can get away with in Shell. Yeah, and I don't want to. If you're going to keep sorting and everything, it's too, it's too painful to. I hate that we have to put a mutex in here too. This disconnect makes it so that you cannot pass along the stuff, over engineering. Yeah. So here's, I mean, we've disassociated the map string from anybody being able to do anything with it. So I have to create an accessor to grab that if somebody wants the raw one, they just want to deal with the raw one, right? So you'd have conf.m.raw, and we could do something like that. I have done that in the past. If you want to give people internal access, if otherwise you could actually make this m and make this conf. It would be, instead of map, it would be, safe map. The problem is that the interface is colliding. The name is colliding with the name. So this is a problem in Go, period. And one of the ways to get around it is to make the struct private and make the interface public. And as long as the names are not, and then you just have like this, right? But you can't do that because map is reserved. So, MP, whatever. And then when it gets returned, they could access the internals over here and they can get to it. I could hand off this thing. I could actually say, so it'd be sync.map.raw. Right? So if I did that, I can keep the internal be M here. Or I could actually, I could make this M. It doesn't matter. I mean, there's a million ways to do it. And then we just do raw, and then it would be like map.map or map.raw or map.unsynced, right? And this would just return a reference to a key value pair. So that would be, it would say, it would be like, I can't put map there again. I can't do that. I would do, that is a reference to a map string. And it is actually a reference to map string. Normally you don't have to use references to map string because they're already passed by ref. They're already refs. You don't need to do that normally. But in this case, I want to refer to a very specific one. So if I did that, I would put like raw here. So this is only if somebody wants to get around the locking and do their own locking, right? I don't know. You could call it values. You could call it internal or content or something like that. And then you would do something like this, do func raw. But all this shit you have to do, this is why I want a standard library for this, so I'd make my own RBX rob /sync/map, and I would just use that everywhere. And if you do that, then I don't have to implement the struct every place. I could actually implement the struct differently and have it be, that would be like sync.m would be a map with a mutex in it, and it would just be a raw way of using it. instead of having a sync.map interface. Some people will put like map I or something like that, and the problem is this name collision. If you want to put a specific implementation of of a of a of an interface in your library, you have to put in a separate package if you want the name to be the same, which is super annoying. I really hate it. But you can usually do it just by making it lowercase. And in this case, it would be M. I'm going to stick with M. It's going to be M to M. Yeah. Yeah, that's going to get me in trouble. I know, but watch. Going streams in a couple of days give me much more than the coding lessons I did myself. Oh, thank you very much for saying so. So raw is just very simple. I think we could probably put this on one line. It will accept one line. So raw is going to return a pointer to a map string. I might be able to get away with not having a pointer there. Let's try it without the pointer. I feel like we need it though. Let's leave it without the pointer. And I think because maps are already references, so I think we might get away with that. Source slices. So let's do this. So this will just give you the internals. Raw returns the inner map string for direct manipulation that bypasses locking, such as when ranging or sorting. And because it's the actual one, it will affect the one inside of the struct. I'm almost positive that it has to have a ref anyway, because it's going to give a different reference. I don't know. We're going to find out right now. I'm going to test it. So yeah. I kind of like this though, because I can actually remember where my conf map is. I've written so many versions of this. I made one that was actually running and it would auto write while the program was running. So if you changed any values, like after a certain time, it would like auto commit the configuration variables, kind of like VI does when it auto saves. I built in an auto save timer on a different thread, so that if your program is ongoing, it would regularly rewrite the config files and lock them and everything. And I kind of want to put this back in. I have JSON map. I get sucked into writing this configuration library a new way, like every year. Some different way. And every time it gets a little bit better. So, and somebody called it Redis without the Redis. And I'm like, but it's really easy to get sucked into making something really big that you don't need. So, we need a receiver here. Derp Rob. Yeah. This is crazy. We're going to return M. I am not kidding. We're going to return m.m. Yep. And that's fine. So let's actually test that. Tests are good. So one silly question, why are we supporting a problem? We'll reread configuration file at one time. Because it's going to be running and something else might change the configuration file. Yeah, my style of doing things is to, at the expense of CPU or whatever, I always reread configuration files right before I'm going to do the thing. Because I don't know how long your application's been running. So some other process may have changed the configuration in the meantime. Same with environment variables. So like if I set environment variable, I always reread it. I don't read it at a init time and then keep it for the whole runtime. A lot of people do that. A lot of people will cache all the values at the beginning of runtime, and they'll read the environment and they'll read the config variables and everything, and then those will be in it. My current bash template script, that's exactly what it does. It doesn't reread the config. It reads it once. It reads it once at the beginning, but it's a shell script, right? So it loads it into the conf associative array in bash 4+, and it stays there. And if you change it, you can change the configuration variables and everything, but you have to explicitly write them to disk. This thing that I'm building is a little bit more advanced than that. It will always reread the configuration variables, because we're talking about a file that can be parsed in microseconds, nanoseconds. And because of the way I'm not using JSON now, especially, so that level of overhead is not too bad, right? I don't have to, it doesn't take that much extra energy to read the conf file every time because it's a small, teeny tiny, itsy bitsy conf file with only one delimiter per line. And so, that gives me real strong relevance that I can have a running application, a server or something, change the configuration because I know it's going to read it every time, which is coming because the reason I'm writing this is I'm going to write a static site generator that uses my Zettelkasten to build a website. I already have the code to do the website build thing, but I want to be able to change the configuration about how that thing is running. And I want to have, Zet service running without having to hup it every time or restart or whatever to grab new config. So that way, if I build in the config read, I could build in a hup. So if you hup it, it forces it to reread the config files. That's the traditional Unix way to do it, by the way. Nobody knows about this, but that's what kill dash, that's what hup is for. So sighup, nobody uses sighup anymore. Almost every process will just die on sighup. But in the old days, you would send us, you'd do a kill -1 and it would force a running web server or whatever to reread its configuration files. So, and it was the best of both worlds because it was like, I don't want to tell my server to reread the conf files all the time. Plus, I don't know if I need to read them all the time because I'm, doing hundreds of transactions a second. So if you need to specifically tell your running web server without restarting it, hey, I made some changes to your config, go check them out. You send a sighup and it would trap the signal, update, lock its config, read its config, and update all its children. That's good programming. That's good Unix programming. If you're not doing that, and nobody's done that in the last 20 years, I haven't seen it anyway. I haven't run into that usage in a very long time. But it's kind of nice when it works. So, I don't know how many times I've been told, yeah, just restart and restop your service and you'll get the new configuration. I'm like, fuck that. Who did that? It's like, yeah, service start, service restart, and you should get the new configuration. Oh, fuck. But nobody cares to add in hup, traps and stuff. So, plus it's probably not cross-platform. I mean, you could make I could see some of the arguments people would make to do that, but it just annoys me. It just does. It just annoys me. All right, so we're gonna get set here. So we're gonna do m dot. No, we're gonna do m.m key. And that's it. That's not too hard. And we're going to do set here. Set's not too hard either. Set key val. I mean, I don't like having to write these assessors. God knows I don't like that shit, but oh well. So the other thing we could do here is we could actually eventually write it, right? So on the set, we are going to have to write it. We're going to have to commit it to disk. To do commit to disk. I want to write every single change as it happens immediately. This is not a database, right? This is a simple configuration file, so it has different constraints and considerations. So set key, comma val, if they're the same type, you can put them on the same thing. You don't have to waste time. I love reverse type notation. This kind of thing that I just did can't be done the other way. Nope, because you put string here, and you're like, okay, then what? And then what would you put here? Comma int n? You can't do it. Pike makes a big, long, pedantic argument for why value identifiers or identifiers at the beginning are the only way to go, and I completely agree. So anyway, yep. I love it. Some people hate it, but I love it. M key equals val. That's all been locked, so we don't need to worry. What'd I do? Oh. I don't think I need to do that. I can just do, no, right, unlock. Yeah. Column 30. Oh, derp. I could probably call save here. Yeah, we'll do m dot save. Save or write or commit. What should we call it? We should probably call it save. Yeah, we'll call it save, and then just return. Oh no, there's no return. This is always a key. This is always a trick, right? So do we return the new value? Do we assume that nothing went wrong? Do we return exit value if it wasn't able to set it? I mean, if the save, I think this is, if I'm going to do this right, I hate doing this, but we should return an error. Because why? Because the write includes a save to disk. So if there's any possible error, we have to return it. There's no exceptions in Go, thank God. And so map will say it has a save operation that returns an error. And the reason set has an error is because it calls save. So that'll get us safety. Return nil. All right, so actually we should be returning m.save. So I'm going to do that. I'm just writing the whole thing as I go. Save, error, and there's nothing here. We'll just do to do. And then we'll just return nil. So this function can be done. And then we can just do return.m.save. I just realized my S keys is off. Okay, so that's all. And that's going to return nil for now, so that's good. All right, that's good. Most people will ignore the error. That's fine. But, if they really care to make sure it got saved, they can check. All right, let's test that. So we'll put some of this stuff in the example tests. This is all solid example test stuff. So example set. Well, we need a new one. How do we get a new one? Well, we get a new one because it's interface. We don't have an instantiator though. And if I'm going to make an example test, this is why you do example tests. Example tests force you to write things in public mode, which means you can't test this internal struct without exposing it somehow, which brings me to realize I don't have a way to give a person a map. There's no way for them to make one right now at all. So how are they going to get one, right? Do they have to call one of these other things, or do I create an accessor or initializer or some shit? So I'm going to create a pseudo constructor, sort of. Constructor is not an accurate term, but this is a very common idiom in Go. So we do new and just return one. We'll just return a new one. Sometimes, I could add an init, and init just is, I'm getting sucked into other stuff. So why would I ever have an init? An init, if you have an init, I'm going to tell you something that's going to burn you one day. I promise you. I'm actually going to add an init just because of this. Okay, so let's say you have a reference to the struct, right? And you're going to think you're clever. I'm just going to reveal my stupidity. You're going to think you're clever, and you're going to say, oh, hey, I have this struct here, and I have this assignment. I've assigned this variable for this, I have of type whatever this is, of type conf map. God, call it conf. So this is the all right. I don't know how to tell you about this, but the bottom line is, you'll think that you can just delete it and replace it with a new one. And so you'll start making calls and stuff, and it won't work because the references will be different and the other reference will have been reset. So a lot of times when you want to initialize a map in particular, what you actually want to do is empty the map of all of its values, but keep the reference, because if you fuck around with the reference, it's going to mess up other stuff. So if you've saved that reference in some sort of symbol table or something, someplace, or you assign it to a variable to reuse it later, if you reassign it to thinking you're smart and like some sort of internal reinit thing, you're going to fuck up everything, because the reference is going to be the same. You're going to have references to stuff that's not going to be there anymore, or references to things that are still alive, and you'll have like memory problems and stuff. So this is where those areas, there's two ways to do this. I could make a constructor like I'm about to do that hands off an M, or I could make the struct public. Now, I really don't like calling it conf.confmap, and I don't like calling it conf.map because I already have an interface called a conf.map. So one of the possibilities would be to get rid of the interface, right? Do I even need an interface here? Well, I feel like I do, because that way I can pass anything that fulfills the interface at all. So if somebody else makes their own map implementation, they can pass it, right? That's the whole point of the interface. That would mean making a constructor and having the struct itself be hidden. So I'm going to try something. I want to, this is kind of a personal experiment because I've never done this, and I want to see if it actually exposes this in the documentation, which would be a pain in the ass. I don't think it does. I think it doesn't. We're gonna go see. So new just returns a new map. That's it. That's all it does. It returns a new map. And if you wanted to initialize the map, you could. I don't need to initialize sync mutex because it's already there, which is why I almost just want to make this a thing by itself. Conf dot, you know what? I could do this conf dot map struct and conf dot map. How's that for an idiom? The reason is I don't want to add a constructor if I don't need to. There's nothing to initialize here, right? And there's never, ever going to be. The only reason you would ever make a constructor or initializer is because there's something you need to do to set 0 values or something. But Go already sets 0 values and embeds properly. So there's not going to be any extra metadata that I'm going to put in this map.struct. There's not going to be anything in map struct. There's not going to ever be anything. So just making it a raw type and then review, a raw struct type, and then exposing that publicly, exporting it, is the right way to go here because it saves you from writing a constructor that they have to call. It's indirection. It's unnecessary. And they can use simple methods like .new, like the new method. So this is a tough design decision for me because I think I just may have figured out one of my own. Traditionally, the way I do this, I'm just going to tell you, is I won't expose the struct. I'll keep it private and I'll only expose the interface, but I'll have the private version match the name exactly in the lowercase. This is an idiom I've been following for a long time. I really like it that way because then you can list that you're returning a particular type, and you're fine. So in this case, this is giving me the raw thing, right? If I were, I'm not right now, but if I had any other functions in my package that were going to return this thing, I would list that they are returning the lowercase struct, and the documentation is fine on that. But then the reason I'm going to expose this as a struct is because sometimes people are going to want to use the struct and sometimes they're going to want to use a map. So this just shows that it implements it. This is not an idiom that I've ever seen. It just works in this case. It also doesn't stutter. So stuttering is a bad thing in Go. So you don't ever want conf.conf map or conf.conf, which is even fucking worse. Right? You just don't do that. You actually don't want context.context either, but that's another story. So this is a conf.map struct, and you should make things don't stutter. It's one of the style guidelines in Essential Go. You can read about it. So here we have map struct. I'm going to stick with this. This is the least amount of code. I mean, I'm going to use this a lot. I have a feeling I'm going to use this a lot. So I'm thinking about the design. This is wicked simple code to write. This is not hard code to make. It's really going to be really hard to change later because it's going to be embedded in every application I use. So I'm taking a particularly long pedantic time coming up with what the interface is and how people are going to use it and stuff because I do not want to change it. It's going to have massive dependencies in my code bases all over. And if somebody else picks it up, they're going to have massive, and because the conf library, I want to make sure it's rock solid. Because this is the kind of thing like a Lodash or some shit that could potentially be used by lots and lots and lots of people, and you don't want to change it after that. So you don't want to name things some horrendously long dumbass thing either, because they're gonna have to type it every time. And they're gonna curse you every fucking time. So and they don't have to deal with m.m. That's just an internal thing. I'm fine with that. I've been using m.m a lot, so I don't care. The embedded lock I think is the right way to go. The read-write lock is the right way to go. That doesn't incur extra overhead. This is an embed, by the way. It's the closest thing you'll get to inheritance in Go. What it does is, if I call, so RW mutex has a read and a write. No, it has a lock and an unlock and a read lock and rlock, and those are the methods that it has. It's a struct that has those methods off of it, and by embedding it, if I call one of map struct dot unlock, it will see that it does not have an unlock and it will delegate it to the embed for free. So it's not really a mix-in. It's an embed. It's 100% an embed. And so, but Go delegation is smart enough to, and it doesn't. It even if it doesn't have it, it actually compiles it that way. It inlines it, so you don't pay any penalty cost. It's really cool. So that's all a compile time. That stuff all ends up being a compile time. Oh yeah, you can embed everything. Yep. And whatever is last wins. So if two things implement the same method and somebody calls, and the thing that's really cool is that it still implements the symbol for the full one. So if I were to do, some abstract dot RW mutex dot unload, it would do it. So you can be explicit in your pathing if you have conflicts, but if you don't have any explicit pathing, it will automatically, it's the same as if you had implemented the methods of the embed in your, structure that does the embed. It's super cool. I love it. It's really great. It can be a little tricky because you're like, where is this method coming from? Like when you're trying to trace code, when you're trying to look inside of other people's code, and you're looking at it, you're like, and you like grep for load, for unlock, it's not there. Right? So unlike Python, like where you would have, if you're doing explicit imports, which you should be doing, if you're importing star, shame on you. Seriously, if you're starting splat from any Python thing and you are not specifying what the things are that you're importing, shame on you, because you can't find out where those things came from. And that's the one downside of this in Go. Because if you do this in Go, there's no reference. If you could search through the entire code base for lock and unlock that's being used all over the place, and you wouldn't find it until you traced it back to the struct, and then you'd see, oh, it's embedded sync. It's actually in sync. You have to do a lot of digging to figure out where it comes from. Whereas in Python, it'd be up in the top of the method match would come up in the top in the import statements. So you'd be able to see exactly where it came from, as long as you're not importing splat, which you should never do. So that's actually one of the downsides of that. There's a couple ways to get around that, but that's, that's it. So we'll keep that. So yeah, so right here, so this is why I can do lock. See this? See how I'm calling m.rlock? It's like, well, who implemented m.rlock? It gets delegated. At least it should. If it doesn't, I could always do this. I have done this. This might actually not work. Let me test it before I finish talking. I might actually have to give it a name, actually. Yeah, I might still have to give it a name. It might not delegate because it's internal. So I don't know. We'll see. But I sometimes screw this up, so don't trust me yet. Again, it's been a month since I've coded in Go, so I don't use embeds all the time. Usually I will do something like that, so I know exactly which one it is and where it's coming from and blah, blah. Step of during debug would be helpful. Yeah, they have that. They have all of that, but I don't do that. I just print stuff for debugging. Always have. It takes too long for that shit. As soon as you figure out how to use the debugger, it's like, you've lost a year of your life, and then they change it, and you got to do it again, and then you're next to language, you got to learn that. Guess what works in every language everywhere? Print. So, I just, call me a bad developer. I don't care. That's how I do it. So, val here, defer unlock, stream source. All right, so let's test this out. So now to get a new one, this is why I like example tests, because they cause me to think in user space, and my brain is now in user mode. Example. Well, there's no function here. I wonder if I think I can do any. Yeah. So let's do. What do we say? We called it. What do we call it? We called it conf-map struct. All right. So I've only got one. If I need to add another one, I can do an underscore there. Rob debugging a Go app. Yeah. Yeah, I just put print statements everywhere. And not AFK. I'm seeing your code. Welcome. I mean, I code bash all the time, and I'm always coding. Depends on what you consider coding. Sometimes it's YAML coding. All right, so a reminder on examples. You have to have some output. It has to be output. It can be an unordered output if you want it to be like unordered, like a hash map output or something. And then I need to make one. So we're going to do m equals the name of our module package thingy dot map struct. And we're gonna make a new one using the traditional method. We can do this, That will give me a reference to a new one. But because it's a map, I don't know. I want that. I want a reference to that. I don't want a hard-coded one. That's pretty common to do that. New is a keyword. This is not something I made. This is, if you do it right, this is why a init is, adding an init is idiomatic, because normally if you had other stuff to do here, you would do this, right? This is very common. That's a very common idiom in Go. It dates back a while, actually. My preference is to like actually do stuff to it. But since this is a map, I mean, I could do m.raw, right, and all that stuff. So we have a map struct. I could test. Let's actually just dump it. So fmt println m, and I probably need to put a string implement the stringer interface. For this is not going to match, of course. So we're going to do that now. Yep. So got dash run map struct. I only want to run map struct stuff right now. Undefined m on line 19. I was afraid of this. I have a feeling this is that I spoke too soon in the last thing I was talking to you guys about. Yep. I'm almost positive. I'm pretty sure I'm going to need to mu here, because this is too much stuff to do here. No. What am I talking about? I know exactly what the problem is. Burp. Map struct. So that might have been a wise decision to make it a longer name. Maybe. Time will tell. Map struct. I don't like putting like names and shit. People do the opposite of that. They'll put like map I for the interface, and then the struct will just be map or whatever. There's so many different naming conventions for interfaces and actual things that implement the interfaces. But you know, people are going to want the interface, I guarantee. So there's my map. It doesn't have anything in it. It's really, really fucking ugly. So we're going to go ahead and right away and implement a stringer. Implementing stringer is a really common thing in Go. And actually it can't be, when you implement a stringer, it cannot be a reference. It has to be, what you do is you implement a function called string that returns a string, a method, and then you just return a string. I could do anything. I could literally say anything, and that will now become the output. See that? So anytime, so the stringer interface is built into Go. It is phenomenal. You can implement the Marshall string method if you wish, but anything in Go that implements the string method, and there's another one, I think it's binary. If you want to have a binary representation, anything that implements this method automatically will be used anytime it is used in a string context ever. So that means that all of a sudden, all of your complex structures and other things that you've ever built, they can all be used as strings, because anytime you pass it to a string, it'll get converted into a string. Sometimes you have to cast it explicitly, but most, like printf, you don't. But then when it gets converted into a string, it will run this on it. And my common thing to do here is to usually do usually right here, I will do a JSON dump, because it's just easier. But this specific project does not have any JSON in it for very specific reasons. I do not want a JSON thing. So I probably will add at some point a converter to do JSON, because I think that that's good to have a JSON. There's going to be, somebody's going to want JSON version of configuration, obviously. But I'm not going to be doing that. So we'll implement that at some point. This was actually pretty easy. Usually I'll do this. I'll show you what I do. Normally I'll implement a JSON method, which is not required. It's just something I always tack on, and then I'll make it do the right thing. So I'll do like, was it encoding JSON dot Marshall, and is it Marshall indent? I think it's Marshall indent. Yeah. I don't never know whether to use Marshall indent or Marshall non-indent. One's longer and prettier. But if I just do Marshall, I'll let them use JQ to expand it, so we'll leave it tiny. So you just do Marshall M, and then you have to have the text. So it's a binary thing that comes out of this, and an error. And then I'll say if there's an error if there's an error, this is just the thing I've always done. So JSON encode. That's what this is. There's no such thing as JSON encode. No, I don't think there is. That's different. It's totally different. Marshall's is plus I don't JSON encode is a different thing. Almost positive. I mean, I can go look at it. You're thinking of that's something that comes from JSON. I mean, from JavaScript world. I could be wrong, but so if the error does not equal nil, then often what I'll do is I'll just return. This is a convention I've been doing for years. I return. I just return either an empty string. I'm gonna stick with empty string, or you return a JSON thing that says error and it tells you what the error is. If you return an empty string, it's not very informational, right? So what I'll do is I'll do like an FMT printf, sprintf, and then just put error. This is just my convention. I'm not forcing anybody to do this. And then I'll do a Q. What is it? %Q for the error, which will automatically quote the error. You could JSON encode it, I guess, if you wanted to. I don't know. We'll see. The problem is I don't often get errors, so it's hard to know whether those errors are gonna take or not. And that gives me something. If it can't marshal it or unmarshal it. So I never played with that at all. Equal 42. Oh, C-base and all free. Yeah. Hell yeah. I would. So if it's free and it's C-base, anytime you can learn C, I encourage you to do that. Because not enough people know C. And then people that, it doesn't get you crazy gobs of money, but it indirectly does, because then you learn all the other good stuff. Otherwise, I'm just going to return. I'm going to return I'm going to cast the bin to a string. And that should, actually, this is a byte array. So I usually do byte. People don't like that. I don't care. I can't write byte array, so bite me. Ha! And then for the string interface, we just return JSON. I'm going to change this because I don't want this to be the default string format, but if somebody wants a JSON version, this is normally what I do, so I'm just showing you. So we do this, we call m.json and return that. Return m.json, and that'll create JSON for us. So if you go back to here, now you see we got an empty struct, right? So we got an empty thing. That means it existed, but it didn't have anything in it. And I think that's important, right? Because reasons. Now, if we added anything to it, which we're going to do right now, so I'm supposed to test this in a different place, but let's go ahead and add. Let's do that, and then let's do an m.set. How about that? So let's set foo to bar. Foo, how about that? Gotta be strings, right? And now we got, boom, we have a out of bounds error. Because why? Because we didn't create one, that's why. We didn't create a map. We returned one, but we didn't ever create it. Yep, that's the reason. So we did set for rlog m.key. There is no key. So that's what's happening. This is why we needed to initialize. This is why we needed a constructor. I was afraid of this because there's no zero value for map. So this value is nil, and it's exploding because it's trying to write to something that doesn't exist. There's two ways to get around that. Three, actually. Write a new constructor and force people to use new to get their thing out of there, and then initialize the map before they do it, so they always get a new map. Two, have an init and force them to call the init so that it sets a zero value for map, which is not always going to be something to remember to do. Or three, every time there's a set, check to see if there's not a map already and make it, which is really, overkill, because that's unnecessary code that has to run all the time. So I'm going to change my map to do what I was doing originally. I'm going to do underscore map, and I'm going to make a constructor. And I'm glad I remember to do this. I was trying to get away without doing it. I forgot the zero value for map isn't a thing. You can't initialize it in the structure definition. And so simple structures that have just integers and stuff, they work fine because their zero values will usually work, including dates. But this doesn't know. They also really talk about bash. Fuck. You gotta, what's it called? It code 42? You got to report back on that. That's really cool to hear about. So here we're going to do type. So I'm going to go ahead and make a constructor against, I don't want to force them to use it. I just want them to say, hey, I just want a map. I just want a thing. The truth is I don't even really need that. I could have conf, load, right? But we'll do new. I'm afraid people are going to run conf.new and they're going to think it's going to create a configuration for them without doing anything else. And it's not, right? So I could do conf.struct, which would return a struct to them, a new one. That's something I could do. As a, I could do that, but it can't do conf.map. I can do conf.new map, right? People generally will do it. You know what? That's probably the way to go. You know why? Because when you don't, this is a big problem. So sometimes it makes sense to not include the type and the name of the constructor with new, because it just works really well with the package name. And if you need another one, you just make a new package and then have that one. But if you're going to put multiple constructors in the same package, then it's more idiomatic for, I think, for people to do like this. They would do func new map, right? And then that way you can have new map, new lock, new whatever, and they can live in the same package space. If you don't do that, you're going to be forced to make subdirectories that have creative names under conf. Or you can put that thing in there. I mean, these are all the sort of pedantic questions you have to ask yourself, right? This is, if I do new map, that's one thing, right? I could do new as in a new configuration, but if I want a new map, then I specifically know what I'm getting, and it's fine. So if I do that, then I can have this say, hey, this is the implementation map. What I'm afraid of is the documentation is going to be unclear on this. It's going to put the fucking underscore in the docs. I'm about to check that. So because this is going to return a new map, you return structs, pass interfaces, return structs, pass interfaces. So new map factory. Hey Jenny, I was talking about you the other night actually with some art friends. Yeah, there's somebody who's involved with nonprofit all over the world. I forget the name of her nonprofit she was talking about. Yeah, she was going at it. She's in her 70s. She's like 72. She's got 3 nonprofit startups going on. It's great. It's crazy. Yeah, really, really amazing. I should try it and make a report on how it was. Yeah. By report back, I mean, yeah, let us know. I'm all curious. I mean, that's the first time I've heard of a boot camp or a school that actually knows what the fuck they're doing. It's a joke. It's a joke, but not really. So please tell me about what they're doing. I want to follow up on that. Recurse Center is another place that it's not a school, but the fact that they're teaching C and Bash just already interests me right away. I want to know why. I want to know who they are. I want to know what they did. A bit of assembly in C. Wow. Interesting. Okay. So what do we got here? We got map. So we're returning a map. Now this is what I'm afraid. I'm afraid this is going to show up in the docs, and that's just fucking ugly, right? Normally I would not have a map. I would have a conf dot. Maybe we don't want to call it a map. Maybe we want to call it something else. Maybe I want to call it conf.dictionary. It's a key value lookup. If we do that, we can actually do another thing. The configuration conf dot thing. If we don't use map, we're good, because then this one can be private. It can be the same word. It's just lowercase. I love doing that when it works. In this case, it doesn't work as maps reserved. So it's just so pretty to do that way. Nobody thinks about this as much as I do, I swear. This is why I don't get anything done. 50% it really is. Aerodynamic fetus. Thank you for getting on the bandwagon with me. God, people know bad code it's got bad names, right? So I mean, okay, I'm gonna test this. So why do I have it this way now? How do I just provide them a static type language? You just start writing code. Honestly, if first of all, if you already know how to code, go do the tour of Go. I hate it, but that's what they recommend. Go do tour of Go, and then it'll kind of give you a sense if you already know how to code. And then as soon as possible, jump in and start writing code. Oh, I don't know, like a configuration parser. It's a great example to cut your teeth on because you got structures, you got interfaces, you got all that stuff. And jump into Haskell. Yeah, but they're working on my friend. Oh, wow, cool. Yeah. Oh, you got the URL? Thank you for us. So El Cravo from Twitch is sharing an address about this cool school that he's considering that. Well, I have Dota running in the background. I bet you didn't know that. It's almost like I was planning on playing Dota before I fell asleep. Passed out is more like the word to use. I got plastered last night with my wife. We had such a fun time. We had so much fun, and they were giving away free wine because they did not know a lot of people show up. And they're like, "What? You're gonna throw that whole bottle? Yeah, take the bottle." This is Mr. Robin. Mr. Robin with his bottle of wine, talking to the. Oh, it was so much fun. It was really fun. It was a tiny little town. It's the place where we started. It was really great because Doris started there. She got back into art by doing sculpture, and she took just for fun, just to have access to it. She took a sculpture class, and I mean she knows sculpture. She wanted to purchase, but she just hung out with everybody. And now she's been in several like big shows. She's driving to Raleigh to put some of her art in a big show there, and so she comes. She has her heels on. She's like wearing her heels back to this like little show, Mud at the Mill, and she walks in and she just it was like she just blew everybody away. Because the last time they saw her, she was, helping kids with art camps. She did all the summer camps, and she was, doing plates and some hand molded stuff and everything. And she's always been a really great artist. But so now her stuff's everywhere, and these people have all seen her Instagram blow up and everything. And she walks in with her high heels, and I got my Birks on, and she just like blew the room away. There was no room. It was like a parking lot, but still, it was so funny. And they were all so friendly, and they were all happy to her. It was really fun to be on her side at that time. But then, yeah, wait, the wine's free? Why didn't anybody say anything before? We like closed out the place. We were there till the very end talking to everybody. And I was like, what's the deal? This wine is free, and this cheese and all this crap. Yeah, we're about to throw away. They were about to throw away like a full table of like, snack food and wine. And I was like, when I had been hungry the whole time. I was like, this is like what, $8 for a glass of wine? I was like, no, I'm not paying that, because we've been used to going downtown. When you go downtown to Charlotte, uptown, whatever, you pay for the stuff down there. They expect you to pay. Do you need more coffee? Kidding. The world needs more good coffee. I agree. So it was really funny. Yeah, it was really funny. 0 tuition, 0 teachers, 0 classes, 100% coding. I guess you have to be French. If you're not French, sucks to be you. Which would include me. What, you mean anybody can go? Are you serious? Shit. Are you fucking kidding me? Oh my God. You gotta be kidding me. I have not heard of this before. This is phenomenal. This is phenomenal. Oh, I'm going to do a full video on this and do all the research. This is crazy. I love it. So far, I love it. I can't say anything bad. And it's got all these people. Oh my God. Oh my God. It's all autodidactic too. Oh, be still my heart. Can I make curriculum for them? To feel explore areas of different programming. Holy shit. Please send me an email. Yeah. Rob@rwx.gg. Rob@rwx.gg. This is crazy cool. I did not know about this. This is the first time I've seen this. Dude, I am like legit excited, like butterflies excited right now, because I have been looking for somebody to create the framework for contributions to other things. I have lots of educational material I'd like to put under something else. I don't want to fucking, deal with the business end of it or all that. I just want to, write content and make videos. This is super cool. Silicon Valley, they have a Silicon Valley one. Please tell me they're not a Silicon Valley thing. Shit. I fucking hate Silicon Valley. Maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it's actually a good thing for once coming from Silicon Valley. You got the booklet, the PDF? Yeah, I just, I don't know. I'm going to reserve judgment. So much shit comes out of Silicon Valley. I get really jaded right off the bat. That's why I thought it came from France. I was like, oh, okay. But now you kind of trolled me into it. Yeah, I'm gonna go look. Here's the booklet here. Oh my God, it's inverted. Piscine Accelerated Partnership. A French telecommunication innovator co-founded 42 in Paris, 2013. All right, I feel better. It wasn't founded by Silicon Valley people. It was founded by French people. Look, you can hate me all you want, but I would rather have that. I would rather have a pedantic French technologist form something like this than anyone in Silicon Valley. As written on the page. They have dorms too? You gotta be fucking... Are you kidding me? Dude, you might have made... Xavier Niel, co-founder and chairman de 42. Yeah, I saw that admissions process. Yeah. Scaffold... Yeoman? Fuck no, don't use Yeoman. Yeoman is dead. Like, really dead. The creator would even say that. This is insanely cool. This is what I dreamt of making. Seriously, this is what I tried to do. What the fuck is this? Is this a multiple pathway through your learning? Holy shit, I was just working. People, I was actually going to code my choose your own adventure path through the boost, and I was going to do a D3 visualization of all the different paths. Oh, they did the skills tree. Holy shit. They have a dome that pay for everything you need. You're doing cool. This is so fucking cool. I can't stand it. I am so glad human beings exist that are doing this kind of thing. It makes me want to help them. I'm making this very thing. This is so, I love it because it's like they're already on the same page with everything I was doing. So far, everything I've read, it's not just because they agree with me. It's because I've been rewriting the boost content to be a choose your own adventure thing. So it has multiple paths. It's like a skills tree. And I have the diagram, a version of the diagram in my notes, my written notes, that's like this. And I was like, I need to be able to make one of these. That's auto-generated from the Zettles. So when it sees the links that go to it, it does links and it automatically draws the graph. So people can see the map of the MUDL, the multi-user dungeon for learning, or multi-user, distributed learning, with the skills map. Hi, it's the guys for 42. Yeah. Right. It is really good to know what skill candidate done. Yeah. This is super cool. I am so happy that you showed me. No, I don't use Obsidian. Obsidian is crap to me. It doesn't follow the basic standards, so I'm not following. It doesn't, including comma mark. Master skills. Yeah, absolutely. That's what's so cool about this. Okay, so the reason, the number one reason I'm blown away by this 42 thing is it says no teachers and, a free-form curriculum. It's liberté, fraternité, égalité in learning. So it says you do the learning. We're going to give you all the help you need, even a dorm, so you can hang out with other people. We're going to give you the curriculum. We're going to show you what's being employed. We're going to help you facilitate contact with potential employers, and we're going to let you do the work. There's not going to be any teachers going to tell you. There's not going to be some boot camp person who's going to put a picture on their Twitter page of them in front of 70 people because that's important. It's not worship the guru mentality. It's like each person is an individual and they're all learning on their own. That's true learning. The fact that they are focused on that, they have the RTFM right on every exercise. Exactly. It's peer-to-peer learning. God, how do you fund this? You hire. It's the same way Recurse Center has been doing it. Recurse Center is a nonprofit in New York that has been doing this. They have coding retreats. It's a different thing. You have to know how to code, and they go there and they hang out together, and then all these companies come to them and hire their people, and they get a percentage, and it keeps them running. Plus, they get contributions. It's their nonprofit. So an organization like this is actually pulling this off. The most important thing that you could have told me about 42 is their focus on independent autodidactic learning. And if I was a company, if I was an IT manager, I would come here first based on that one thing alone, because this whatever you want to call it, this organization is promoting people who learn the most important skill first, how to keep up and how to teach themselves. And if you don't learn those skills first, fuck the rest of it. It doesn't matter how talented you are. It doesn't matter how motivated you are. It does not matter. None of that matters if you're not being focused on doing your own learning. And the fact that they're facilitating that and they're building an entire curriculum, an entire system around supporting you doing your own learning is just like fucking brilliant. This is giving me like really realistic, awesome hope in the world, because somebody invented a true way to do it without thinking about profit margins and notoriety and all of that shit. They're actually focused on the individual. That's so fucking awesome. I can't stand it. I'm going to have to go just read all of this now. I'm not ready to do that right now, but I want to finish some of this coding, but this is completely consistent with the values that I have. So yeah, thank you very much for mentioning it. I never use emails. Can I see if I got the email? Yeah, I can check. It's rob@rwx.gg. So far, nothing. I'm checking spam. What's this? No. God, I'm so tired of spam. Thank God for spam detection. I don't see anything. There I got something that was just forwarded from someone whose name starts with L. It's got 16 files attached. I'm a little worried. They're all Adobe files. Is this you? I normally wouldn't open these because they're attachments, but they're PDFs. So, yeah. Are you going? So you're in it. You're in the program, right? So somebody among you is in the program? I will not open them on stream, no. Nope, I won't. I don't open email on stream, period. Ever. It's just, I just don't. I used to be okay with it, but I'm not anymore. Yeah. So question. Oh, you did it once but failed? So what? You like move on, right? You can like, go back and do it. Shell operator. This is Kubernetes stuff, which we're going to be doing in the afternoon. We're going to be doing more Kubernetes learning in the afternoon if that's your thing. I'm going to go back to my Go code right now. Actually, I need to take a break. Can we take a break? And then I'm going to take a 5-minute break, and I'm going to come back and we're going to do the new map. We're going to do the map constructor, and then we'll check the structures after that and see what it creates. And we'll be here. I'll be here coding all day today. The evening, I don't know, off and on, dates, potentially cleaning and all that other stuff. So I can't promise I'm going to be doing tonight, but I'm going to be on all day today coding and training for Kubernetes. So you just passed by? Yeah, thanks. I'm going to take a quick 5-minute break. Actually, I'm going to take a 10-minute break. I got to make coffee, and I don't want you to be mad at me when I don't come back. But I'll leave my camera on. All right, come back at it. Oh, I had some prosciutto. You guys like prosciutto? Prosciutto is so good. Oh, it's like I didn't even know about prosciutto until I married my wife. I was like, what was that? I was probably like 45 years old when I had my first prosciutto. I was so sheltered. So good. So good. All right, so we're still doing Go stuff. I'm supposed to finish at 11, but I'm going to go probably till 11:30. And I'm going to finish up this map. We're doing the test for the map, right? So, we're making a constructor. All right, so what is a constructor? It's not a constructor. A constructor is from object-oriented parlance or object-oriented programming parlance, those terminology. And I fucking hate it, but that's what this is. It makes a new one. I'm going to give you a map. And the way you do that is we have to do this because we have to set this to a non-nil value. Otherwise, we blow up when we try to access it because nil is, you can still got nil errors and Go. So we're going to say, we're going to make a new one and we're going to say M equals new map string, and that will give us a new one. That's a reference to a new one. I could either do that or I could probably do this. This might be more sufficient. That's good too. These are two different ways to make a new thing. When you do new, it makes a reference. It makes a concrete copy of it and then returns a reference to it. But because this is a map and maps are references already, we can get away with it doing it a different way. This says instantiate one of them and give it to me. And you could actually set some of the key values in here if you wanted to initialize it that way. You could do, sum or whatever, and then other comma. You could like provide the initial assignment. So this is a thing from C that I'm looking forward to using C to teach is the separation of declaration and assignment, or declaration of a thing, what kind of thing it is, what its signature is, and all that is different than its first assignment and definition. So definition, declaration, and assignment. What's the difference between make and new? Make actually is used on things that are new is just a shorter form, honestly. Make allows you to establish the size of the thing. And there are some things like channels and stuff that require you to use make. Because make takes parameters, new doesn't. New just says, give me one of these things with the minimum possible size, the default size, the end. And it's pretty common. If you do it this way, this will instantiate it and then, set its initial value to whatever these things are in here. Now, because I'm not doing anything there, it's just going to be an empty version of it, right? I could have done new. In this particular case, it could have gone anywhere. I could have done make as well. There's any number of ways to do it. So that's the difference. New is just a simplified. You usually see new when it comes to structs, actually. In fact, let's do new. I don't know what I'm talking about. We're not going to do the map string interface because it's not referenced yet. I'm an idiot. We have to do new map. I'm sorry. I was so focused on this one thing that I forgot that we actually have to instantiate the struct, which is almost always new. So anytime you have a struct, you should usually be using new instead of make. I don't even know why you would use make there. I've never done that. I guess if you wanted to make a bunch of them or something. I don't know why you would do that. So this is my common way to do it. It's actually easier to write it up this way. And then I do m.m. So then I do m.m equals, and then here comes the non-nil. So by default, it's nil, right? And now I can set it to some value, and I don't have to, and then I just return m. And m is going to return a pointer to a map. Yeah, you can do that too. You could do that. You could do make here or new or anything, or you can just make one like this. This is the same thing. It's a little bit shorter to write. Exactly the same thing. If I wanted to put initial values in there, I don't know if there's ever anything that's like faster or something, but I don't use make unless I'm using a channel. Unless I'm doing like a channel or something that requires make, I don't do it. I'll use this form of constructor, which is how I was taught. All the books that I read, that's how they did it. So, but in this case, it's a struct, and I forgot about that. So you definitely want new here. I could have done this. I could have done this. I could do this. And then I could say, I think I could even do that. I could take the deref on that and then say, which is the same thing, but that's, I never do that. So that's probably wrong because I don't ever do it. This is it. This is the way. This is the way. Yeah. Aerodyne. Yeah. Aerodynamic. Yeah. It absolutely would work. That absolutely would work. It's just not, this is just not something I do. Another thing to consider too is what you're talking about. So aerodynamic, put a version of this is all in one line. There's no reason to do that level of combination because optimization, because it doesn't buy anything. The compiler is so amazing in Go that it will inline all of that stuff. It will inline all of it so that it does the right thing. And there's a lot of things in Go that you might make an optimization that if you end up trying to do the optimization, you might end up confusing the compiler optimizer so that it doesn't inline it and it doesn't take it away. So the bottom line is the most important thing when you're writing Go code is to write clean, easy to read code. This is one of the reasons that I'm a huge fan of doing this with these individual assignments right here, because it's so much easier to read. If you try to put that all in one line the way you can, you're going to be, you're going to be going, you can even use an anonymous one, right? I could have done an anonymous here too, anonymous functions types, which is really cool. I'll talk about that another day, but so this entire code, let's explore what we could do here, the other possibility. So another possibility, if we want to put this into all on one line, and maybe there's a better programmer out there who knows why to do this that could chime in at this moment. And I mean that, I might be missing something. I don't, there's tons for me to learn on Go. So if you happen to know a reason to do it the other way, please let me know. Yeah, you don't really, semicolon. No, it's called automatic semicolon. So does JavaScript. I don't use semicolons in JavaScript either ever. And Bash does the same thing. So if you do, I just hate semicolons. It's one of the reasons I don't want to code C again. So if you do, you could have done this, as someone said, you could do this entire thing in one line. You could take a reference to a map and then set up its initial values like this. And you could say, I want to have M be a map string, and that's it. The mutex doesn't need to be indicated. If I wanted to do that, it's going to be a null value for the mutex. It'll make it automatically, right? These two are exactly the same. They're exactly the same. Whether or not this one is faster or not, I don't think it is. I do know that this is very confusing though. And I personally don't like this style. I just, because it doesn't flow to me, it's harder to read. So this is one of the things that I do like about Python is it's pretty damn easy to read. There's just no doubt. So I would rather have code that's easy to read, that's kind of incremental. Okay, first let's make a new reference to it. Okay, now let's set its values. Now let's return it. It's very imperative, and it's not kind of out of, that's just my preference. And I see both in code all the time. So you guys can decide what you want to do that. So undefined map struct. Oh, right. I was calling it map struct, wasn't I? I'm going to go back to calling it map struct, I guess. For now, I am just for now, but I'm going to make it private. I'm almost positive now that I have a constructor that I don't need any references to the struct by itself, because I don't want people to manipulate the structs. I only want them to use the interface. Yeah. That's another thing. If you give, it's a long story, but let's take it one step at a time. Map struct. So that should actually fix the problem. We still have an error here because this doesn't look like it was instantiated properly. Oh, I know why. Because it was trying to set the key and the key doesn't exist yet. No, that's not it. That's not it. Let's do this. Let's do, and then mix of that string. return a new map struct. I mean, I don't know. That should have been fine. Something's up. Something is going on. Let's get rid of this one for a sec. I have to put it out of here, otherwise it'll mess up the thing. All right, so we got an individual. And the print line for the M, there's nothing in it, which means it's a nil value. The set is failing. Why is the set failing? Why is the set failing? Let's go see. Rlock, unlock, m.key. Oh no. I don't know if I need to use a ref here. I think I don't know. I don't remember. Yeah, I do. I absolutely do. Yep. So I have some. This is why I have to do this, because I haven't coded in a month and a half. My Go is really rusty. So I think that functionality is better than that. I would prefer easier to read. I mean, what's up, peeps? Hi, Funk Bane. Last night. What? Nice to have you back in the great United States, temporarily. Map struck wrong. I've got some stupid ass error here that I'm gonna really hate myself when I find it. I don't know why I'm getting this error. I should not be getting this. So it's coming from set. So set m.rlock. I actually think it might be because it's not propagating, right? I think the rlock's not propagating. I think that's what's up. Yeah, I think I knew this problem was going to happen. I'm going to have to do the mutex again. Expected declaration found M on line 42. Yeah. Let's see. Expected declaration found N. Return m.save. Is m.save doing something? M.save returning an error, returns nil. That's not it. I'm gonna isolate some stuff here. Let's see if I can get the problem to go away. 42 column 1 expected declaration. This is weird. I wonder if I'm doing my deferring correctly. I think I am. 42 line 1. What the fuck? Examples test code. 42 examples test. Oh, fuck. Oh, no wonder. Shit. God, I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. I'm a fucking idiot. Come on, Rob. Be easy on yourself. You're not that bad. It's not our lock. I don't know. It's well, in this case we wanted to lock and then unlock. Unlock does both. So this is working. It's just not printing out right. So our output's not right. I'm just gonna cheat right now. We'll come back to this and clean up the test. I just want to just get it visual into this. So I want to do m. Well, we can do m.get. Test everything all at once. How about that? Yep. There we go. There's a nice nil pointer error. You know why? Because of this. Yep. Yep. Still get a nil pointer error. So the get's failing now, I'm assuming. I'm going to get rid of the get for a second. I'm such like a writing bash. Bob Ross of programming. Hey, Balmoro. You can say, okay. Thank you for the compliment. So, yeah. A happy little error here. For example, I'm going to look at the trace. I normally don't because I'm a bad person. Oh, fuck. I'm not doing very well today. All right, need more coffee. This is I recognize this anywhere. This is a null pointer error. Unlock of unlocked RW mutex. So there's my error. I didn't even bother looking at it because I'm an idiot. So where's it get? Rlock unlock. Sync unlock of unlocked RW mutex. Huh. Is it because we already did a read lock? I thought unlock was supposed to do both of them. Is there a thing called unlock? I have to read about sync mutex. It's been forever. I have to read the docs on it. It's mutex, not mutex, but I don't care. All right, so plus I always just use a traditional lock instead of, so if you use mutex lock and unlock, that is a read write. This is a read write lock, which is slower. If you do RW read, okay, so there's rlock, r unlock, and unlock. Okay, so it's more precise, and it doesn't block the write locks. So I was doing it wrong. Who would have guessed? So maybe we won't crash and burn now. Let's see. Hey, we might. No, we're still crashing and burning. Both things at once. But what is the problem this time? Simultaneous nil map. Okay, that I expected. So where's that happening? That's nil map. That's what I thought I was getting before. What line? Example 91. No, this is not going to be accurate. So what is up? So set m val. That means, do we turn off our new map? Oh, right. Oh, I know, because we stopped doing this. We're not using our constructor. Duh. I mean, all that work to do the constructor, I didn't do it. New map. This is why you do tests. Off that new map. All right, there. Because now it's initialized, and now if I go down here, I'm pretty sure I'll have a success. Yes, I have a success. It's not printing out the right thing, so we're gonna actually do a get. Hey, look, it has the foo value. Huzzah! Get rid of this, and this could be foo. And I'm gonna have a successful test. Pass. There it is. So there you go. So get set with locking. Pretty basic stuff. We did a read write lock. I mean, a lot of people would complain because other languages come with this. You have to program this in Go. Again, Go fits the perfect space, in my opinion, between C and Python. It's like right in between there, but it's also kind of not in between there because it's statically compiled C compatible language, unlike Python. cross compilation. So we have our JSON here. If we were to actually dump our JSON code, which we could do, let's do that. Let's do fmt println. This is another thing that I generally will do is I'll do. Just as a number. There's a number of standard methods I usually put on anything data related, data buckets, and one of them is print. And it's lazy. I know it's lazy, but what it does is it just prints fmt println, and it prints the struct, the end. So this is going to invoke the string thing, and then in my test cases it looks nice and pretty. So I can just put m there, and that's good. And so that here I can, instead of doing this big long craziness, I can just do m.print, and it helps me with my tests. Now it's an empty JSON structure, which means I fucked up somewhere. So I got to fix that. So we're going to fix that. Right now I'm implementing as JSON, but I want to eventually not do that. I think it might be, it's Marshall. Oh, no. I'm marshalling the wrong thing. Derp. Also, it has to be m.m. Yep. Let's try now. Yeah, there we go. See? Foo-foo. Foo-foo. So. Let's say the question is, do I want to implement this as JSON? I'm not going to be doing it as JSON. So I'm going to have a different thing that's dump. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say print JSON, and that will be foo, foo, and that will pass. And then I just have to add a thing that's called print JSON. So print JSON. I mean, it's a configuration package after all, library. So having these conveniences is going to pay off in the long run for debugging and all kinds of stuff. So I'm not opposed to that. So this is going to be print ln. This is going to be print m.json, and that should pass. Yep. All right. So but the actual output I want to be foo equals foo. That's the actual output. So there's going to be print and then print JSON. And we should probably also do FMT println. I'm going to do all the testing in this one thing because I don't want to bother people with it. I can do it all in one place. So println. I mean, some people would put this in a separate example test that maps that goes with the map file. I'm not. I'm going to put it all in one example test. And so we can do this. We can say m.get foo. And that should be foo. Right? So we're almost passing. I mean, you get, one of the reasons I don't like getting too crazy with the test output is because sometimes it'll scroll off the screen if they're doing it through the Golang, test framework that comes with all these example tests become part of your documentation, and they can run your tests in Playground if they're using the Golang documentation online, go.dev or whatever. So my specific text format is not JSON. That's one of the main reasons I'm doing this. Every other one that I've done in the past has been JSON. I've hated it because I've had to go in and edit the files and done the JSON right and done / and blah, 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 blah. And I don't want to do it. Plus it's slow. It's slow. Parsing JSON is way slower than parsing a single delimited line. It's way slower. So not doing that anymore. That's one of the reasons I'm making this thing. So, and plus I can do that, the way that I'm implementing config is also already implemented in Bash, and I can have consistency across languages. I can do the whole thing in C too. Without pulling in a whole fucking JSON library, I can write the code to parse this in C. Yet, you know what? More and more and more, this little conf-go project is going to become my standard project for setting up challenge rooms for coding in Bash, Go, and C simultaneously, because it hits all the bases of utility type coding, parsing text and that kind of stuff, without going overboard. So we're not doing any marshalling or any of that stuff for specific structs, which you can do. That's a big deal in Go. It's really cool to do that. You tag JSON YAML tags. That's one of the reasons I got picked for Kubernetes and everything. What else do I need to do? I need to implement the other print function, which isn't there yet. So this print function is just printing it, which is we don't want. Actually, we do. We want to change the implementation of the stringer. This is the string. So this is string implements. The only thing you have to say, the stringer interface, the FMT stringer interface. That's it, and it's a standard Go thing. If you implement it and there's no ref here, then Go itself will automatically call this every time you use the thing as a string. So we're going to put that here. What are we going to do? We're going to put some stringer stuff here. We're almost done with this. Then I'll shut the stream down for a bit, and then we'll bring it back up, and I'll be doing Kubernetes training this afternoon. So string implements the string interface. What do I need to do here? I just need to go through. I need to iterate through. I'm going to sort all the keys. This is another thing about the reason I'm doing it is I always want my output to be ordered, always, and you don't get that. And normally when you get it, when you marshal a map or a dictionary. So what we're going to do? We're going to say, first of all, we're going to sort this string, and it's actually not that hard. because maps and slices are abstractions on top of the actual underlying memory, occupying structures and data structures. So you can actually do some really interesting things. For example, you can say a sort. So I'm trying to decide whether I should. No, this is fine. This is fine because I have to call sort on anyway. Okay, so I can do, is it sort dot map m, and that's it. That's it. That's all you have to do. But it's crazy because that's actually rearranging the keys internally, and I'm almost positive that works. I might have it wrong, so we'll see. And then what? Then you print it, right? So, I don't know what the output of that is. I'm gonna have to go look. I'm gonna have to go read the sort thing. It's been a while. I absolutely know that does that for slices. I think it does it for maps too. So we're gonna try it, and then you just print it. So for me, I'm gonna actually iterate over the thing. So this is actually one of the reasons we went back to using a standard map as our internal thing for map struct. So I just, for I or for whatever, for key comma v, the key value equal range m, and that's a copy of the map. It's not the actual map. That's what's up with no reference there. If I put the reference there, it would do it to the actual underlying one. We're not doing that. This is creating a copy for the purposes of printing it out as a string. That's required though, because the interface does not match a referenced type here. It only matches the actual type. So the interface itself forces you to not use a reference version. That's not something you have control over. I've tried every time I put a star there to do a ref. I'm like, why is my stringer working? And that's always the reason. So, so for range m. So then we're going to just print key value. That's it. That is really literally it. MMT, println, and we're going to do key value. Now, this is interesting because I have to decide whether I want to escape line returns or not. And yeah. I'm trying to decide whether I'm going to put escaping in save or set or not. I probably am. To do add line return escapes. That is the only thing we're going to add, by the way. So yeah. And I believe that's actually :q that'll do it for us. So that's all we need to do. Let me look really quick. Golang fmt. There's the sprintf. Oh my god, the sprintf. The sprintf in Go is so fucking amazing. It is so amazing. Look at all the stuff it has. You can actually print out the type. You can do. It's like the guys that were influential in creating printf in C decided to take it to the next level. You can print out numbers in base 2 if you want to put digital or binary, base 10, whatever. You can. This is the one I'm looking for. A single quoted character literal safely escaped with Go syntax. That includes stuff like Unicode and stuff. Sprintf was made by the gods. Yeah. But Sprintf in Golang is just even better. Scientific notation, F, synonym. There's a capital Q if I remember right, and I'm just looking for it. I don't see it right now. There it is. %Q, a double quoted string safely escaped with Go syntax. We did that already. Wait, what happened? Bad me. Okay. No, Boolean, no, default. And it will, if you do, that's the thing, if you do V, you just have to remember V instead of S and F and D and all that shit. It'll just do the right thing. V means its value rendered as a string. And, yeah, width and all that stuff. It's just so cool. I love it. But what I'm trying to decide is if Q is going to cover me, and I have to do a test on that right now. I'll probably have to do an internal test on that. So I might write in my first internal test. That's not an example. I call example tests kind of external tests designed to be viewed by the user, and internal tests are the ones that are just operating on private variables that are not necessarily designed for consumers of the library to look at, but they can if they want. It's just more cryptic. I wrote all about that actually in my Go test write up, personal Go test project conventions. So give let me see, Zet find testing. How about this? Conventions. Nope. How about this? How about, I need to, oh wait, this is a pro regular expression. I forgot about that. I gotta practice this. All right, Zed. Go. Conventions. Yeah. Now I can do this. There you go. Now you got it. So that's personal Go test project conventions. That's my write up on that. All right. So it's in my Zet. If you're in Twitch, you got the link. I'm sorry, I can't. It's too long for me to type. You would type it in anyway. Just go to my Zet and search. All right. So we need to add line escaping. I'm kind of getting sucked into that. I don't want to do that right now. Undefined sort. Fuck. I have to go back and learn how to sort maps. I don't remember. And I have no shame looking it up. I honestly don't know. I don't remember. Why is one of you guy? Oh, right. I remember. All right. So we're going to look up Golang sort. It's not soft. What the fuck? All right. So again, if you're in Twitch with me or the IRC, all that stuff is being sent to the chat. So you just click on the links and follow along if you want. How to look something up. That's your first time? Yeah, it's the only way. So there we go. Sort. This is got this. Other people pushing for generics are really, among them are the sort people. They really want to do it. By example, sort.interface for person. No, we're not doing that. I'm pretty sure there's already a sort.map. Why is it again? Can I arrange tables? Oh, fuck. I know what that problem is. That's a much different problem. Let's deal with the problem at hand, and then we'll come back to it. No, it's m.m. Derp. Derp. That should get past there. Undefined sort missing return at end of function line 56. Well, okay. String of string of interface. Oh, right. I have to build up a buffer. That's what I forgot. All right. So let's build up a buffer. This is where you might use make. If you wanted to, you could use make to like predefine how big the buffer is. And I hate to go them. And then you don't have to do that though, right? You can just do empty string, and that's perfectly fine. And instead of doing this, we're going to be doing a sprintf, and we're gonna be appending to the buffer. Yep. And I actually have studied this quite a bit. There, but I don't remember it. I'm pretty sure. No, you can't do it. This is just as fast as any other kind of join. So that's been optimized. That's just a regular append. Sprintlen k equals v equals q. I don't want the q though, because q has quotes around it. I don't want that. So what I might have to do my own unescaping, and if so, I don't know. We're gonna see about that. So I could just do sprintf, and then do backslash n. I might have to do my own escaping actually. I'm almost positive I have to do it. So, and then we just return buff. Yeah, the question I have is because in my bash one, I don't do any unescaping or escaping when I set a configuration variable. I don't. If you put in actual space, it will skip it and it'll cause an error. And I'm starting to think that maybe I need to do at least line return escapes, because then people could pass in, filtered content and have it be maintained properly. Unless you want to play around with the line return issues like between operating systems and stuff. So I don't know if I want to be like really literal and say no, because every time we do unescaping, that's like a really fucking heavy duty load every time we read a configuration variable, and I would rather not do it. I would rather say I'm sorry when somebody tries to go to set, but even if I do that, I have to actually look for the failing items, which means I have to iterate over every character in the string, which is way unnecessary work. And I would rather not do that. You can't sort maps. It's only arrays, right? I have to sort the keys first. Yeah, I forgot. Let's just sort the keys. I'm gonna have to create an array, sort the keys, and then iterate over it that way. That's what I've done before. Yeah. Thanks for the reminder. I totally forgot about that. Yeah, it's only sort array. So we have to do this. We have to do, and there's no such thing as keys. There's no map.keys. No, you have to make it. You have to like do it yourself. I forgot about that. But I need it anyway, so let's do it. Map struct. Not that hard. All right, so keys equals, and this is where you can do a make array if you want. Yeah, let's just try. Let's get creative with make. So you could do make. I want a string array, and I want it to have the length of m.m in it. So it's going to make at least enough room for that many. It's a little bit of an optimization. And so yeah, and then we have to do for key v. We're actually going to discard v. We don't care. That's what we do. Underscore, it says discard. Equals range m.m, which will automatically range over the map. And then what? And then we just store up our keys. Because this is exactly the same number, I'm going to do a trick. So I'm going to, rather than append to the keys array, as this is slightly faster, I can actually do, I can create a counter. So we'll say n equals 0, and I could just increment the counter. N plus plus. I could actually just do, no, that won't work, never mind. So then I could do keys n equals k. And that is just a teeny tiny bit faster than doing append, because you're not building up a new slice as you go. You kind of pre-allocated the size. This is where it kind of crosses over into C optimizations, if you know what I'm talking about. I mean, that's a C thing you could do. So let's test our keys thing first. So I'm going to change our test down here to be just keys. And so we don't have one yet. We'll add it. Oops, see, there's my chat. Oh boy. I'm trying to make you go away. Guess not. I screwed up. All right, so we say func example keys. What's the output? The output is going to be just foo. Let's say we'll have foo. Actually, it should be bar foo, right? And we want the output to be ordered. By default, it's ordered. If you don't care about what order the lines are, you can do unordered output, which was for things like hashes and stuff. But we're always going to be ordered because we're deliberately sorting. So, which reminds me, I didn't add that. So get save keys. So here we do, was it sort dot or slice keys, and that's a slice. So it takes care of all of it internally. You don't have to do anything because there's exactly the same amount of size. Pretty smart. Sort dot size. What are you talking about? There's so many places I can go look this up, but I just gonna do sort.slice example. Z code. Z code? What the fuck is that? I just want the package docs. Where are they? Where's the package doc? Normally it doesn't take that long. It's been getting harder though, because there's been more people writing about Go. It used to be that the hits would be on the very top that I wanted, but now they're getting Stack fucking Overflow. It's always wrong. God, I hate Stack Overflow. I hate it and love it. It's one of those things. I don't want that. I just want a good old sort slice. I don't need that. I don't need that. I know it's something really basic. Oh, right. I think I need... No, I don't need that. I don't remember. Sort string slice. That is not it either. I know there's a better way to do this. Absolutely do. These are all shit. That I know there's a better way. All right, fine. Package. Fine. All right, so slice is sorted slice. There's like a really fast way to do it. Is sorted search functions. Sort dot slice. Oh, x less. What is less? I think it could be 0. Slice interface less function boolean. Slice sorts the nil x provided by less function. If pan x is not a slice. The sort is not guaranteed to be stable. Equal elements may be reversed from the original order. For stable sort, use slice stable. I never heard of that. The less function must satisfy the same requirements as interface. This is new. I'm telling you, there's a new version of this. It's like one line, and I have it in other code, and I just can't find it. So I'm kind of frustrated because it shouldn't be this hard. Grep dash r, wait, dash r dash I dash s sort dot slice. Part 1, looking forward to following this one. Oh, you did? Yeah, we'll see how it goes. You know what? I have too much stuff here. It's going to take forever. Annotation sort dot slice. Slice stable. Raw events. I don't want that. Sort slice keys. Hey, look, that's the one I just did. I could swear func ij boolean. There's a way to do this that's easier, and I don't know it. It's like a file system sort WebSockets. No. It's going way too low. I don't know what the fuck that QUI stuff is. That's like conf map QUI learning. No. Workspace function. No, they're all doing the same thing. I know there's a faster way to do this. This is where I wish it was in my snippets file. It might be, actually. I can put it in there. This is why I can't go for longer than a month quoting Go, because this stuff falls out of my brain too easy. I'm going to own it. It pisses me off. I should know this shit. I mean, all right, fine. There is a way to do it with one command line like that, and I just don't know what it is. What did I do it in? Did I do it in command tab? I either did it in command tab or auth. Let me check. Command box. I think it's in command box utils. Yeah. Just no emphasis. Wait, wrap, split bar, mock. I found JSON YAML. Sort. Is there any sort here? Wait. Git. What should not be here? Git grep dash I sort. Command map. Sort strings. Oh, fuck me. That was it the whole time. I had it wrong, but now I know it.
Did you call? See what I did there?
My wife is so nasty.
Funny.
She's got her 70s runner shorts on. She's so...
You got the joke, Mike.
I get the joke. Yes, I get the joke. Thank you, Mom. Oh my God. I love her. We had a great day last night. Yes, we did. Command map. What's that? Trying to get it front end? Did you really? Yeah, that was it. It's sort.strings. I knew it was there. I almost like started writing the stupid sort function and all that. And I'm like, no, fuck no. I'm not doing that. All right, so that... When in doubt, go look in command box. I have put everything in the kitchen sink in command box because all these like little things that you want to have in your utilities thing. Command box is for making utilities, by the way, that are composable. It's an entirely awesome project. It's basically a BusyBox for Go, except for you can make whatever you want, and you don't have to write it in C. So yeah, that's probably completely foreign language to most people, but I don't care. That's what it is. Return keys. All right, so that's it. That's it. And now it's all sorted. It's not there, but it's sorted. Okay, so what are we gonna do? We're gonna say, actually, we just need to make a new one, all right? So I'm gonna steal this. I'm gonna make a new map, and then we're gonna put some shit in the map. So m dot. We could do raw. My IKEA Alex counts. If you need to do something, just I've got chores to do later too. I'm supposed to be at 12. I'm supposed to be doing Kubernetes stuff, but we'll see. I'm having a great day. I'm going running at 3. I'm looking forward to my run big time. I had a really great time this week running and stuff. It's really changed my mood if you can't tell. And my waistline. So m dot. What am I doing? Add set foo to foo. And set bar to bar. And then what? And then we'll print it. Right? So fmt print ln keys. Yeah, we're going to print the m dot keys. Oh, getting close. You know what it did? No, that's perfectly fine. I didn't want to iterate, so I can do that. This is the standard representation of an array as a string. So there's no need to mess with that. So we pass. Good job. And there's never any case where it's going to be the other way. This is what I would need to fuzz it pretty hard. Fuzzing tests is a thing that's kind of entering the Go world as well. Because, if I run that test enough times, it's possible that the hash map was just, doing it out of... Watch, if I remove the sort, I'm going to show you. For your benefit, I'm going to remove the sort. Watch what happens. Watch. If I run this test over and over again, so we just got keys, right? Look at that. First hit, it failed. Why? Why did it fail, people? You know what it's doing? Oh, look, it passed. What? Why? Raise your hand if you know why. Why is my test sometimes failing and sometimes not? Let's see how many times it takes for it to fail this time. Because Go randomize the keys and maps so people don't rely on the ordering of the maps. Yes, that's the best possible answer. Yeah, thank you for the sort. Go doc sort. Go doc. You know what, Cockeyes? I completely agree with you. I completely agree with you. I need to start doing that. I don't like it, but I'm gonna start. I have been able to get better hits just from my link searches because it usually includes other resources besides the Go docs. Yeah, but I hear your point. I need to start doing Go docs better. Particularly when I do. GoDocs, so just so everybody knows, everything is already, the man page for Go is GoDoc, and that'll give you everything on your package. That's not a euphemism. You know, it'll show you the stuff. If you want that, this is kind of like your completion. If you're not into completion, which I'm not. If you want long, you can do -L, and that'll give you like all of this stuff. I thought it was -L. I guess I'm wrong. What is it? What is it? I don't use GoDoc at all. So GoDoc help. Is it all? Yeah, you're right. It is all. Is there a sachet? Nope. That's all. That's like that's a fuck ton of stuff to type. But the thing that's cool about GoDoc is you can also use it to test your own documentation, which is something I'm going to do next. I want to see if my private thing got done. So I need to start using GoDoc more. I don't use it nearly enough. I need to start because all of my searches are always using the internet, and usually the package is the first hit. I have noticed though, within the last 2 months or so, that the standard Go package documentation is not first in the DuckDuckGo hits. So I don't like that, but I do like it because sometimes I can go to the doc and not get my answer, and then I go to the Stack Exchange and I'll get there's like extra information or something. So I like having all of that in a single search rather than having to do 2 different types of searches. Yeah, that's how to do it. So that's why. So there's no guarantee. So if you want your keys to be sorted, you got to sort them. Make sure you do. But because I'm going to use that to iterate over all my keys, I can actually do that now. I don't need to do m.m here. I can do m.keys, which will do all my sort for me. And such. And it's going to build up a string buffer with all its representation, and I can dump the string buffer. So yeah. And I'm going to go back here to mapstruct and do that. Type func string. What? Oh. It's a reference. I need to actually call it. It was standard adopt CP. Yeah, they did. I think that's what happened. And I think it kind of deprecated. You know what? Thank you for saying that. You like solved the mystery for me. That's exactly what happened. I'm sure that's what it was. They made a big deal about it in the blog and the newsletter. In the email. They said all the standard. You know what ended up happening is then it just deprecated all the SEO scores for everything. Because it's all on a new domain now. It's going to take a while for it to get to propagate up. Yeah. Wow, you just answered the mystery. I need to write about that. I'll make a video about that right now. Because that's so cool. I want to share that. All right, so quick little video. Zcast start. Why are Go web search results different? I have to put, I'm going to put Go here and I'll put GoLang in the tag so that M. Dembski doesn't chase me down and kill me. He's complained like 3 times, and I know I completely agree with his complaint, but I've kind of given in on it because GoLang is the way to search, right? He's like, put it in the tag. Don't ever put that in the title. I'm like, okay. He's on the compile team, so all right. Here comes the video. Ready, go. So we're making a video about why Go web search results have been different. We've been going to go this morning on just a simple project to read a configuration file consistently from your free desktop location, your cache, or .config or whatever. You can watch the video on that. Just look for the GoLang videos in my playlist. But while we were doing it, I've noticed that my traditional way. First of all, people know that I hate code completions. So because usually when I need to find something, for example, we were searching for sort. Right, so GoLang sort. So I use my traditional links, plus bash, way to do that. And I was looking for the sort package. And normally this would be the first hit. And you see how it's not the first hit? At least it looks like it's not the first hit. Normally what you would get is you get the package itself, and it would get it. But see how it says m equals old here? This was throwing me, and usually I'm really used to getting these DuckDuckGo results, and so the very first thing. And the reason one of our friends in the Twitch stream, I can't pronounce his name here, but one of our friends in the Twitch stream reminded me that you can just do GoDoc and get it. And I never use that because I'm lazy and I inevitably want to go see the online web version. And if I don't, then maybe, hey, the next hit's going to be Stack Exchange or Zcode or whatever this is. This is cool. I don't know what the Zcode thing is. I got to go look at it. But this has more information, right? So rather than waste time doing one search that I know is only going to be the package information and another one to do a web search, I just tend to do the web search first because I can usually get my answer in 1 second or 2 seconds or so. And you know, and then I have the other options as well. So this is just my style. But the reason I'm making this video is because I've started noticing, and I actually commented on this, and somebody made a comment on my comment, that the package results are actually not showing up first in the results sometimes lately. And I was just wondering why. I just openly, publicly saying, why is that? And then our friend reminded me that there was a recent, in the blog, and then I remember the newsletter coming out, I remember reading it, where they said that they were migrating off of golang.org and they're moving to pkg.go.dev. And there's a lot of great people that are going to be super happy about that. Among them, M. Dembski from Twitch, who's on the compiler team. He frequently reminds me to never put Golang in any title or, you know, rhetorical text anywhere. Make it a tag, and you can see I put it a tag down here to keep him happy. So just come chase me down and have his cat kill me. You know, it's an internal, it's an inside joke. You have to know him. He's really awesome. And so the answer is that everything's moving. Everything is moving to go to PKG. I mean, I don't know. PKG.go.dev is for new home of former Golang.org. So if you're like me and you use text-based browsing and you're used to seeing, what I do is I will always filter the URLs down here in my mind when I'm going through them, and I'll like look at them, look for the most efficient one to get. And I'm like been not finding them, necessarily the way I want. I mean, it's really fast to browse this way, and it's also got color and it's got examples and all that stuff. The documentation doesn't have that. At least it doesn't have it in as easy way for me to read. I mean, if I do the same thing, so the suggestion was do GoDoc. So to do GoDoc, first of all, if you could do GoDoc, you don't know if you're going to get the hit right. Then you only get the sort of completion stuff unless you type -all, and at that point, okay, yeah, I've got all my stuff, but there's no examples. I mean, there's sort of write up, but there's no examples or anything, right? And it's all black and white because Rob Pike is on record saying colors are juvenile. so I don't do that. I generally tend to do, what I did, and I do my favorite Golang sort, and I pull it up, and then I get some syntax highlighting and some examples I can cut and paste if I wanted to. And so that's my method. But this video is to point out the fact that your hit results, your search results are going to change probably, and that's why. The reason is because the team is moving from pkg.go.dev, or from golang.org to pkg from golang.org. So that is it. In case you're just wondering, it's a tiny little video, but I figured, what the hell? Bye. Okay, so Zcast pending. Pass. Yep. Okay. So I gotta add that. I gotta go add those up. So that puts me back to where we are, and we're kind of wrapping up for the day. But I feel like we made a lot of progress. We're very close to being finished. I'll definitely finish this like later tonight or something. I don't know. So where's our tests? Clear. Exit. I don't need links anymore on this. Quit. S keys. Let's do examples. Example keys. We got example keys. Keys are not passing. What are we testing now? Right. We're testing this. Yeah. All right. So this print, we gotta fix that print. So that print should just be the string buffer. And it's not right. Why isn't that working? Why you no work? Oh, look at that. 0 equals foo. That is not correct. It's interesting because the value has a line return in it. You know what it is? It's because no, that's I've got it right. I've got it right. So let's see here. String buff equals buff f f and print f. So that means the keys are equal. Why would it be pretty? I don't think we want a Q there actually. I don't. I think we want a V here. Yep, I think that might be an error, but we'll check. Oh, that's why I got to print line here. That's why. Yep, we don't want that. All right, that might help. It helped, but not enough. All right, so 0 foo. I have a problem. Oh, that's right, because we're iterating over an array. Derp. Derp. Derpy derp. 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 Yeah, and we don't have a fucking val. No, we do not. So I have to do this to look it up. And then okay. If there is one. Now, if there's not one, it's going to crash and burn and make me very sad. But it has to be because it came out of the keys command, so I trust it. It's a contract. Huzzah, we're good to go. So there. It's working. It's printing out my stringer interface, doing the JSON thing. And I did it again. Whoops, I did it again. Did you see she's getting married and she's like all worried? Because her father's giving up rights, her whatever, ownership of her slave indenturement. If you don't know, do you know what I'm talking about? Good old Brittany. Pop star extraordinaire. Example keys, foo, bar. This is the thing that works now, so that's tested. Our set and get is working. We're done. The only thing we need to do now is save it. That's it. And make it so that it opens it and have me like add a load or something. So we can do that next time. In fact, I'm gonna commit this code here. So yeah. And it doesn't automatically load from the exe path and all that stuff, but the map thing's tested. So wait, print JSON. Well, let's test everything. So how we test everything? We tested. Okay, so we're printing the keys. That's all good. That has tested set and print ln, so we have coverage for that. This one has tested the get, the set, the new map, the print JSON, which I think is every single function. Oh, JSON. We have print JSON, which indirectly, does the JSON. I mean, we could do this. We could do. Yeah, I mean, let's do this. Let's do print mjson. Yeah, I want to just show people that it's the same thing, that they can use it however they want. So that would be an extra JSON. So we'll put those next to each other. That should pass. So that's 100% coverage. It gives an example of everything. JSON, print JSON, string. So if somebody wants a JSON version of it, fine. Hell, we should put a YAML version in here if we really want. I don't like doing that because it puts a dependency on an external library to do that. JSON does not. JSON is dependent only on the built-in library. In fact, I'm not doing that. I refuse. Only standard library dependencies in the error line, because if your error isn't quoted properly, it'll output bad JSON. Yeah, but I agree. But I don't know. I mean, it is quoted, so I don't remember if it's fully quoted or not. I was actually going to use the K for the value up here, and I'm convinced I'm mixing them up. This actually comes with double quotes by default, so that's good. We'll keep that there. If we do, this is the one that's got me conflicted. So I'm gonna put a warning in the set. I'm going to say set sets the value of key to the string. keep in mind, warning, I'm going to put a warning, use of line returns will not be escaped automatically and will break the save and load functions. So this is to preserve the performance of a single character delimiter. That's what it is per line without any additional overhead. Now, why would I do that? It's more important for me to be able to read that config file many times very efficiently than to read it once and have it be a complicated configuration. Because I'm going to be calling load all the time. I'm probably going to be putting it in an automatic thing so that it's doing it every time, and it's also auto saving when values change, stuff like that. So because not only do I want all the processes using it in the memory space of the given running runtime, but I want other applications to be able to rely on that file very solidly, and there's no problem reading that configuration file. I will not. I don't know if I'm going to be providing additional locking or something like that. I think we decided we were going to do that. System level locking. We're not going to be adding any of that, even though we could add a var run thing and lock on it. And I might write a suggestion to do so, but I am not going to put that anywhere in here because I want people to implement that if they need it. I don't want to add unnecessary overhead. The same reason map doesn't have built-in locking without it being needed by the consumers of the library. And since I know that I mostly don't need it, it's going to be read way faster. I want real wicked fast read and parsing. There is no way faster to read and parse a file than a single character delimiter for a key value pair set. That's it. That is the fastest way to load it. That's absolutely the fastest way to parse that thing. You can write that parser yourself in C in a few lines of code. If I add things like check to see if there's any line returns to escape them, that has to iterate over every single character. Whereas in the other mechanism, it just has to just do a substring match for the first indication of an equal sign, and it just has to split on that, and that operation is like instantaneous. So I do not want to, given the amount of times it's going to be called, I don't want to bring it up. That's also why I'm dropping JSON. JSON is unnecessary for 90% of property configuration files. This is why the properties files are, and it's actually, I'm going to show you later, but you can use key names that have dots in them, and you actually end up with a much simpler code read because your key is actually now complex instead of adding complexity to the struct that has to do it. And you're just dealing with strings and you're just doing key value pairs. And if you want to do any kind of nested things, you have to create some complicated JSON pass shit. You just put the name, you just make a complicated key, and you have a single character delimited line file. It's much more efficient. It's better. It's based on Unix origins. It's usable from Bash or Perl. In fact, I've been finding this a lot. So if you usually will do progressive design, even in software development, you'll win. So if defaulting to JSON, which is what everybody does now, I think is a bad idea. And this is a relatively recent discovery for me. If you don't need JSON, don't use it. Put white space for tabs or some shit. You don't need JSON every time. Especially if it's in a file. Then you end up with everybody thinking that that's the way every single fucking file should be, and then all of a sudden people look down on like SSH configuration files or something like that. And they're like, no, everything needs to be, HashiCorp conf files or nmap files or something. Or not nmap, nginx. So this is where I'm at, and this is me being influenced by the large amount of shell scripting I've been doing lately, and asking myself the question: do I really need all of that extra stuff? And is it, well, it's going to make it later. It's always this anticipated need for something that you're guessing that's out there that you don't have an immediate need for, and that always fucks you up. Always. I'm on a budget. How's it going? So, because it's like you're always like, I'm gonna start the Kubernetes stuff now. I'm actually gonna drop this stream for about 10 minutes. Please let people know that I'm gonna be here I'm going to drop the Go stream here so I can have a nice clean break. I am going to walk away for just a bit, and I'm going to say let's start at like 12:15. How about that? So at 12:15, I'll be doing Kubernetes until 3, and I'll be doing Kubernetes programming and studying and all of that stuff. All right. Conf-go, we're done with conf-go. We're not. It's just a little module library that I've been working on. You can go look at it in the repo if you want. So yeah, you can go. So give her conf-go. Yeah, and I'm gonna go ahead and see if I think this is really. I don't think I've done any pushes to this yet. I know, in fact, I haven't. So yeah, I'm just gonna commit it. Forget it. That's an old one. Don't use that one. For reading and writing, it's just for parsing and transfer. I actually hate editing JSON. Yeah, everybody does. So I think we need to stop using JSON for configuration files. Frankly, I think we need to stop using YAML for configuration files. If you have a two-dimensional file that can deal with it that way, in fact, I honestly, people are going to hate me for saying this, but I sincerely believe YAML was a horrible choice for Kubernetes. I think they should have stuck with a properties file and had more complicated properties along the way. And then, but that people don't know, they're all about their indentation. I'm like, yeah, you know how hard that is to deal with when you've got like 500 lines. White space, significant white space is a pain in the ass. And if people haven't figured that out by now, and believe me, I was a huge fan of it for years. And if you haven't figured out that consecutive white space is a pain in the ass, you will eventually. You'll eventually figure it out, particularly when stuff scrolls off your screen constantly. You're like, what does this go with? And you can't tell, and you have to like look at the lines, or you have to use some kind of IDE that has a line that shows you what it is, or like lids the stuff in the middle. There's like all kinds of complicated shit that would have been avoided if you had just redundantly put in the key names or some other thing like that. Now that people would argue that that's more space, it actually isn't, because you got spaces there. You might as well use all those spaces as redundant key names and then copy and paste. In that particular regard, I like Java property files a lot better. I do. They're just easier to read. They're easier to make sense of. You can look at it, you know exactly what you're dealing with. It's anyway, I'm going to stop that rant now. Time for me to go away. I'm going to, again, as I said, I'm going to drop the stream for a bit, but I will be back. So, truth of the matter is, yeah, I'm going to drop the stream so we get synchronization going back up. Sometimes when I'm on Twitch for a long time, it fucks up that stuff. So I'm going to do that. So, and then YouTubers, there'll be a video of this. It'll be linked under the Golang stuff. So if you want to go see. All right. Ending the YouTube stream.